Shit. Look, in the distance, a cicada. If you hear it, know I'm faded. Hit the streets, now we be skating. This is old news. I've been feeling lately kinda maybe that I should be concentrated on more on myself and not just
We're running out of time.
Light work.
Welcome to the Rapcast, episode 72.
I actually don't know.
I think it's
72, yeah.
I think it's 72.
My name's Alex. Buddy Alex, that is. Sitting next to me. It's not just a gathering of vertical lines. It's actually a sweater with some guy underneath.
It's Hip Hop's own Andrew, aka Buzzkill, FKA Young Jizz. And do him.
And sitting in
Your
the
little passenger
corner,
princess over here.
wearing the toque and sweater combo, which he'll be wearing for the next 3 months, every single day,
You know
day
it.
in, day out, is Jay Pasty, aka Pete Joshman,
Thank you.
FKA
Twigs.
FKA Twigs is here with us, discussing her end of the year lists. That's what we're doing here today. We saw Rolling Stone and all of them dropped all on the same day. Spotify Wrapped, Apple Replay.
It's officially
we gotta do
list
it. We gotta do it. Coming at you a little earlier this year, hopefully, depending on how long this turnaround takes, that it was. But today we're gonna bring you our top 10 albums of the year, hip hop and adjacent.
A great year for hip hop.
Great year for music, man. Like, holy shit.
A comeback for culture in a way. Probably just distracting us all from our horrible lives.
Yeah.
But music is back. People seem to kind of care a little bit.
Yep.
Kendrick made his statement.
Yes, he did.
There are a couple themes of the year that I would like to get into that span across a lot of the different albums that I liked.
We're doing this the year. We'll go through music videos, album covers, trends, fashion, all that kind of shit.
But I think the hip hop game responded to things that are happening in the real world, essentially.
Yeah.
And it spurred a lot of people into action. It was all so simple, and then suddenly K-Dot dropped the GNX album, fucking up everyone's lists.
Yeah.
I think it was like partly even intentional to do that.
I think so.
Just to say fuck
Because the
him.
label didn't know he was dropping until like that morning either, apparently. And I remember the three of us hung out like, what was it? That was only like a few days before that album dropped, and me and you mentioned, I think I mentioned to you being like, yeah, you know, if anything else drops in this year, I'm just not even going to really include it in the list. I'm just going to focus on the stuff that I had time to sit with this year.
Yeah.
And then I think I said, like, even if the Mac Miller album that's dropping in January dropped in December, maybe I would make exception for that. But there's not much else that could. Turns out that's not true, because Kendrick Lamar dropped his newest album as a surprise. 12 tracks, 40 minutes.
He's in his villain era. I think we had enough time to sit with it to consider it.
I listened to it like
end.
10 times, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much right at the deadline.
Yeah. Because I know you were already hard at work on your list when that dropped.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to when SZA dropped her album really near the end of
Yeah.
2022. It was like the biggest album the next year.
Which grinded my gears because a lot of the 2023 best of album lists included SOS by SZA, which is like, that didn't come out this year though. Like,
but we get into this issue every single year, and we're just kind of over it at this point.
Yeah, we're just gonna do it.
11
Follow
months
along.
is
We're gonna
almost a
follow
year.
along, yeah.
We wanted to talk a little bit about the drama surrounding GNX before we get into our lists. I wasn't the one to drop the news on the group chat. It was my friend Jay. Mm-hmm. He got it. It was, I don't know, 9:30 in the morning or something like that. Like,
Yeah. I dropped like, I thought it was like closer to noon on Friday, or maybe that's when I didn't see it until noon. I was getting ready for work, and then I just saw that I was doing fuck all, and then I'm like, oh, Kendrick dropped.
Yeah.
This is my whole day. And then I just listened to it all day.
I remember I was in class. You texted the group chat.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And you left class.
And I was seriously considering it because
Okay.
we weren't doing really much in class anyway.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine came in, and was like, "Yo, did your Kendrick just dropped?" And he was like, "Yeah, I was listening to it on the way here." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Why am I the last one to know about
I remember
this?
I left class, as a side tangent, I left class, I think when Awaken My Love dropped in like 2017. I was just like, nope, I'm just going to dip and listen to this.
Yeah. And your grades have never really recovered.
No, that was the catalyst of where I am now in my life. Where were you?
at my house.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You're on house arrest from the Diddy allegations that we talked about loosely 2 episodes ago.
No, but it was funny when seeing the memes that were like the picture of like Paul Revere saying like the British are coming or whatever, and it's like motherfuckers when they report to the group that Kendrick just dropped.
Yeah, Twitter was already in a frenzy right away. I probably spent the rest of the day on my phone looking at memes and looking at reactions and listening to the album.
I genuinely wasn't expecting a new thing until 2025.
Well, because the Super Bowl is going to be in like what, early first quarter of the year, so I figured around then we would get it. But he had to just mark his officially, mark his stamp on the year of 2024 and make it his own. I don't think there's any argument in the MVP of the hip hop world this year. We don't even have to have a segment for next episode. Yeah. It's Kendrick.
I mean, he put the whole game on his back and re-energized things for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Definitely responding to the sort of Diddyfication of the world.
Yeah,
and a lot of rappers had to come out and say, "Look, I'm not with all that abusive shit."
Yeah.
So you'll see that in a lot of different albums that I'm talking about. But yeah, Drake still in his hate chamber right now. He was on
a Twitch stream.
Lawsuits.
Yeah, it's a lot before the day before the lawsuit. He was on a Twitch stream being like, "You can't fucking bury me with lies, man. Only facts can take me out." And then the next day, a lawsuit comes out against UMG, and they referenced the NFR podcast in the lawsuit.
Wow.
Should have mentioned the Rapcast if I'm being real, but
someday we'll get.
Someday we'll be on a lawsuit for sure. But
with that attitude, right?
Yeah. So he's suing UMG for like pushing Not Like Us more than it should have been and faking the numbers in the streams. And then UMG came out being like, pretty much it's just like, your music should have been better, bro. Like, you just lost. Like that was pretty much the sentiment of it. Just like, if the people listen to the music that they want to listen to, that's good. Pretty much was their statement.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if major record labels are engaging in some kind of payola fuckery thing on some level, but Drake's done it to benefit himself as well.
There was the whole thing online, people were talking about how Drake was literally the face of every single like playlist and genre on Apple Music for like a few weeks when Scorpion dropped back in the day. Of like, it would be like, country, and have a picture of Drake just because it was promo for the album. But like, how is that not like exactly what Drake is trying to curb, right? And I understand, the implications of this that could actually be beneficial towards artists potentially. Some like the way that this is, could shape out. But I think in general, it's probably more so likely that it's just a way for Drake to get out of his deal from UMG. I mean, it's still it's an insane. It's like a $500 million deal or like something crazy like that. Like, it's a monster deal. But I think he still maybe wants out of it, or just feels like he's been kind of getting backstabbed, or maybe he's just pissy about this whole thing, which is maybe the more likely answer. But
yeah, that's the simplest and easiest answer.
Yeah.
Is that he a bitch, but...
And UMG came out as well and said it was like, you should have just sued Kendrick, like, straight up.
For
Which
defamation?
if he just sued, yeah, and then it came out the day after, like, it's been a thing where people are like, Drake can't come up with any original ideas in terms of his rollouts or anything like that. He sees something online and he goes with it. This lawsuit drops, and then people are like, why aren't you suing for defamation? The next day, a defamation lawsuit comes out. So it's like, is it because he sees the reaction and then he's like, oh yeah, you know what, shit, you're right? Is he just that tone deaf? Is he, who knows?
Somebody said that if what he said on Hard Part 6 was like, oh, we fed you the information, he was obviously lying, because if that were true, then that would destroy his case.
Exactly.
So obviously he was bullshitting that entire thing.
And then couldn't Kendrick just countersue from defamation as well? When talking about all the
he's just crying
domestic abuse allegations
to like mommy and daddy because like they lost.
Yeah, he's losing a bag. Yeah, and he has to get on white Twitch streamer sports better fucking streams, man. It's
which he probably has to do because he's like deep in the hole with gambling debts.
He's signed a deal with Stake and shit like that whole thing. It's pretty gross. And he also revealed that he's doing an Australia tour starting the day of the Super Bowl. He's literally fleeing to Europe. As Kendrick might say on Whacked Out Murals, and people.
Australia must feel so like. Oh,
we're getting
our little island in the Pacific Ocean is getting Drake.
But then someone made a point being like, damn, as soon as they passed a bill that like people under 16 can't be on social media. Drake goes to fucking Australia. I don't know, man. Which I thought was funny, but even if it's obviously tongue in cheek and you know, a bit out there, but yeah, I mean.
And then Kendrick announced his tour.
He did that the other day.
With Toronto stops.
Toronto's the only Canadian stop. June 12th. It's going to be like $200 tickets at least. Are we going, boys? Rogers State. I've never seen a show at Rogers.
I think we should go out and interview people outside.
We should 100%.
And just not go to the show because it's too expensive. I mean, we're broke. So.
Well, it depends on how expensive it is.
Yeah, we could maybe get cheap tickets last minute kind of idea, but seeing SZA 2 would be fantastic as well.
Right.
That's going to be a great show. And do we want to miss the opportunity of him performing Not Like Us in Toronto?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but are they going to Sir us again? The darn Sir show.
I know, that's something I'm still mad about from earlier this year when we were supposed to do the Lucky Day and Sir back-to-back R&B weekend, summer weekend, and they canceled Sir and canceled ScHoolboy Q show. I didn't have tickets to that, but that's still... but I think because those were at History, Rogers Center is this whole other fucking beast that Drake has never actually performed at either. So I don't think he has any say in that.
Yeah, Rogers Center makes Scotiabank Theatre look tiny in comparison. I've been to a show there. It's
what show?
It's Roger Waters.
Roger Waters, damn.
He did the Wall. That was the only place. It makes sense because like the Wall is like this huge theatrical thing, but it'll be hard to fill that arena, that stadium.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, well, it's a baseball stadium. Right?
Yeah.
I saw this band there, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh yeah, I've heard some of their stuff.
I don't know.
Their older stuff was decent, but
their older stuff was
haven't
good.
kept up.
Around like pre-pandemic.
I left halfway through because they were down like 7-0 or something. Yeah. We'll start off with our lists here. First of all, did you do honorable mentions?
I have 3. I don't have to mention all of them.
Okay, I have 3, and I have notes for them, so I might as well just get them.
Yeah, I have notes as well. The year of 2024, my number 13 album, third honorable mention I want to shout out, is Gene Dawson, Glimmer of God. It's a recent album, just came out. I haven't sat with it all that much. It has the chance to maybe creep into my list in the future. But from what I've heard from it so far, I think it's a really solid record from Gene. Not the same style whatsoever to his other previous album, Chaos Now, which is probably top 5 of the year, whatever year that came out. I think that one also made my honorable mentions a few years ago, but that one's definitely moved up in my rotation.
Yeah,
I think that was 2022.
I think so. Kind of deviates from the sound of that album into more of like a 80s inspired synth pop production, which I think he handles pretty well. His vocals on this are immaculate.
Yeah.
He tries a few things that don't necessarily work, in my opinion, in some styles, and some songs are maybe a little bit placeholder, but I think overall the record definitely hits for me. Have you get a chance to listen to it?
I did listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely out there. It's interesting music.
Yeah.
And there's a rock thing and a rap thing going on at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely hip-hop hints in there as well. Got Lil Yachty on the album.
But yeah, this has been kind of a beat that you cover on the show is these kind of more alternative rock, rap fusion type artists like Dominic Fike, who you're a big fan of. It's not as much my thing. I did like the song with Lil Yachty.
Yeah.
Die For You.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I would almost describe some of it as emo. Like
yeah.
Emo ethos, like,
It's
but
like,
different types of instrumentation, but an emo kind of approach.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's hard to kind of put this album in a box, and I think that's a good thing almost, genre-wise and like writing-wise. I think it's a well-written album, and it kind of paints a picture, but I'm still not quite sure what that picture is. I don't know if it's just because I haven't listened to it all as much because it just dropped, I think, in October, November.
Yeah.
But I'm confident to put it up there already in my list. There's a few albums on that dropped later in the year, like the Ab-Soul one and the Corday one, that I could definitely see being in my top 10 in the future, but I just didn't sit with them long enough. I've only heard them like once or twice. But those are solid records that I still want to shout out just right now.
There was a lot of good music that came out here, but the difference between good and great is sometimes...
Like we talked about before when we were hanging out, like there's a lot of just okay records this year. Like probably the majority of them are like, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like But it was still tough to make this list for me, like to whittle it down to the top 10, top 12.
And what were some of your favorite tracks from it?
I like Darling a lot, the opening track, 'cause that's a great tone. Houston's like a great, like, just pop cut. It's kind of tough for me to still differentiate some of the songs. I like The Boy and the Swan a lot, You're Bleeding Everywhere. Yeah, very emo sounding titles too. That you mentioned it as well. The one song that didn't really work for me is Black Sugar. That one's trying to be like more of like a funky kind of out there song. It just doesn't really hit for me for whatever reason. But
yeah, that one song where he went really 80s, like The Weeknd.
I think that was Houston
type vibe.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I was impressed when I was listening to it. I was like, he's really going for it. Like,
yeah.
You can't do that unless you're fully committed.
Yeah, and I think he's an independent artist as well, so I definitely want to shout him out for that as well. And just respect Gene Dawson. Another solid record from this year, and hopefully he keeps just fucking going, man.
Yeah.
Excited to see his career blossom from here.
Okay, so my number 3 honorable mention. Curious to see if this landed on your list. ScHoolboy Q's Blue Lips.
Yeah, this one is a bit higher, actually. This one is at... I actually didn't number these, hold on. This one's at number 8 for me.
Okay.
This is a little higher on my list.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about it for a second.
It was the first kind of major hip-hop release from an artist we'd been waiting for years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And it didn't disappoint. It's definitely a respectable, good body of work.
Yeah.
18 songs.
I want you to talk about why you like it as well, but I'm curious as to why it lands not in your top 10.
Why it's only an honorable for me is because it's a bit long, it's a bit boring at times, and for me, where he really shines is the kind of groovy, like piano, jazzy, contemplative type tracks,
right? Like
Lost Times,
Blue Slides.
That was a good one too. I like some of his songs where he's like fast rapping and there's more energy, like Yearn, 101.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff didn't really hit for me. I didn't really like the features from Devin Malik.
Yeah, the features are one of the are a gripe that you could say about the album for sure. Other than maybe like Absol and Freddie Gibbs.
The song with Freddie Gibbs was great as well. Ohio. Yeah, like those songs are definitely like bang in the whip.
Yeah.
And it's a compelling project with lots of different sounds, and like he definitely chipped away at it for a long time. Yeah. It's maybe a bit too long, and some of the things don't quite work for me. Right. So, but on the strength of the good songs, it has to be mentioned. I would say. I'm
in agreement that it could have been trimmed a little bit. There are definitely like there's a maybe kind of in the middle to later part of the album. There's a handful of songs that just kind of don't do as much for me, but I think the highs for me definitely outweigh the lows. I think. You know, songs like Thank God for Me
that was a good one,
and Cooties and Pig Feet, some of these like, you know, more so bangers like are some of his better bangers as well. Maybe they're not going to touch that part or you know, some or Collard Green, some of these like, you know, hits from back in the day, but it's in a different it's what I like about this album is ScHoolboy Q in a different context because it's been so long. And probably the reason why it lands higher on my list is because I just respect that he's talking about just his personal life where he is now and not faking it. He's like almost a 40-year-old man, and he's talking about his fucking daughter and taking her to soccer and all this kind of shit. But it's still like dope in a way, like it's still but it's still gangster, and it's still like jazzy, and it's still experimental. Like it's a really, I think for me it lands more so than it didn't. For the
and there's some good social commentary in it, although it's not very like heavy-handed.
Yeah,
but he definitely touches on some of the contemporary issues going on in the world. Even comments on Kanye's mental health and how hypocritical the media is when they pump people up, and then they also talk about mental health the next second.
Yeah.
So, very solid.
Yeah, I think another thing...
I want to see another album from him, though, that's more specific or more...
Yeah, for sure. I think this was a great comeback record for him.
Totally.
And I think this record was him making music for himself, which I think is super important as well. And then I think maybe next record he'll be maybe experimenting more, or just like, you know, hopefully it's an Absol type of situation where it doesn't take another fucking 6 years for him to come out, where he drops a record maybe in a year or two. Kind of updates us a little bit more, kind of maybe has something a little bit more to say, because this album does maybe lack a little bit of structure, and it doesn't hit all the way through, but overall I think it's just good energy, good vibes. I think it's
a good one for the car.
Yeah,
you know, lots of good beats on it, like the kind of album you could sink your teeth into over a long period of time. Like it's gonna be up there for sure. But let's move on to the next honorable.
Yeah, mine, kind of a sleeper pick, at least kind of just snuck in at the last minute for me, was Doechii album, Alligator Bites Never Heal. I know you haven't given this album as many spins. I've listened to it quite a bit, though, the past few months. It took me a while to kind of get into it, but once it did definitely hit for me. I can say almost similar critiques about this album to Blue Lips in terms of just not being the most structured thing, or not necessarily every idea hitting. There's like 17 songs on here, but overall the highs outweigh the lows, and I think it's similar to Blue Lips in terms of like the variety of songs and sounds she does on here, but even more so. Like there's songs like Slide and Beverly Hills that are fucking like pop R&B ethereal cuts, and then there's fucking dirty ass fucking songs on here like fucking Bullfrog. Denial is a River is a great like almost Tyler the Creator talking to his therapist type fucking track. It's really informative of what her life has been up to in this point, talking about her career and her even her like her drug addiction and stuff like that. And Nissan Ultima is just a fucking complete banger to me. It's so fucking hard. And let me know what you thought about it.
I gave it a lesson and definitely enjoyed it. Didn't come back to it that much, but then I heard it a couple more times, and it's definitely a respectable album. And she has a lot of personality, a lot of different sides to her.
Super charismatic and just
definitely
very versatile.
Her stock is rising this year.
Yeah, she's got a lot of Grammy nominations. She's on the Tyler album. I think she's the next one to really, in terms of female artists in the game, to really be the one. And
a big theme for me this year with all this music is the different regional sounds and different people kind of carrying the flag for a movement in this part of the country or that.
Right.
And the West Coast had a huge year.
Of course.
And Doechii was definitely carrying it for the females.
Yeah.
I feel bad saying the word female. It's so disgusting.
You getting a call? Answer it.
No, it was a telemarketer.
Damn, could have asked them about what they thought about the Doechii album.
But I really like the song "Boiled Peanuts."
Yeah, that one's a highlight as well.
That was like a funny it's a sunny day.
Yeah,
the gang's all here.
Yeah, no, she's fucking. She to me, it's like shades of like Tyler mixed with like Nicki Minaj, Doja in terms of versatility. There was even the song, I think it was Bullfrog, that reminded me of like a ScHoolboy Q, almost a Snoop Dogg type of vibe as well, production wise. Some hints of Kendrick, even SZA. Like, I think she wears a lot of influences on her sleeve, but like she's still like uniquely herself, which I really respect. And I think the reason why this lands maybe a little bit higher as well is that she said it's a mixtape, and I knew that going into it, so I knew not to expect any like really huge overarching themes or things like that. I went into it just looking for a solid music listening experience. Yeah, and that's what I got. So, shout out Doechii.
Yeah, upon listening to it again, I definitely picked up on like there's more going on in the second half of this record that I didn't even like really clue into the first time.
Yeah, I will say, the production is good. I think it's maybe a little bit samey at times with some of the drums or something like that. I can't quite pinpoint what it is, but maybe could have switched up the production maybe a little bit more, but I'm not going to complain about it because she's tackled a bunch of different styles on here. So
okay,
yeah, Doechii is my second honorable mention today.
All right, so my second honorable mention, it's really big with the internet and the terminally online people. JPEGMAFIA, I lay down my life for you. It's very creative and very different. It's filled with references and jokes and a trolly kind of approach.
Yeah.
He definitely landed himself in hot water, posting a pic with Ye where Ye's wearing a Burzum shirt, which is like a white supremacist black metal band from Norway that burnt down some churches or whatever. Yeah. And, he was popular with online crowd and leftist type people on Twitter and other apps. And so they were really mad at him, and he's been kind of him versus his fan base, also beefing with Freddie Gibbs, which is one of the funniest rap beefs from the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Was that this year? I guess that was, because that was during the Vulture sessions, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like near
Freddie
the
Gibbs
end of last year.
Push-ups in the hotel, and then JPEG's crashing out on a plane, right? Like,
and JPEG posted the time that Freddie Gibbs' butthole picture leaked.
Two chronically online people fucking beefing with each other is that's a match made in heaven right there.
And that's where I would get with like the one criticism that I have for it really is that like it's a little bit inside baseball and you don't get the references unless you're on these forums, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm kind of here for the drama and the messiness of it all.
Yeah. No, I definitely respect. I listened to the whole thing. I've heard a handful of songs. The one with Vince Staples is great. Either On or Off the Drugs is great as well. The one with Denzel I like a lot.
Yeah, there were some good features.
Yeah. I'll Be Right There was pretty good as well. Yeah, listen to a few of them, but not the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll Be Right There was a song that definitely like created a little world. Like his production style, it's very different.
It's super. Yeah, it's someone. I think I mentioned it to you when we were listening to some of it a few weeks ago. Was that it's someone that I probably should have gotten into a long time ago, just based on just like the uniqueness and creativity and like online type music that he creates. I mean, the Danny Brown collab was on both of our
Scaring
lists, pretty high up on our list, I believe, from last year. So I feel like I would definitely enjoy it. I just haven't fully, dived in.
It's definitely, like, I like it and everything, but it's definitely overrated. And these people, these internet, like, I do not like JPEGMAFIA's fans.
I don't really like him necessarily as a person either, really, but his music is dope. Like,
but I appreciate
respect him.
His deep internet references and
sure.
jokes. The song called "Don't Rely on Other Men." He created the beat using a clip from Succession.
Oh yeah,
from Brian Cox's
Let me
character.
Play a snippet of it just so I can hear. Yeah, come on. It's weirdo shit, bro, but I like it.
Yeah, and it definitely incorporates rock elements
For sure.
in a unique
Punk,
way.
Yeah.
It's always hard to quite meet rap and rock in the middle in a way that makes sense.
You can make because there was a long time where a lot of these artists, like Trippie Redd and MGK, were doing it in a really cringe kind of way. But there's a way, I think, almost if you make it more so punk in terms of your attitude and almost the sound as well, then you can make it like just kind of maybe it's more of its own thing almost.
And I think he mixes it all himself. That's another thing. Like,
he's a self-made dude.
Not a lot of these songs like really fit in on if I were to put them on my playlist that I want to hear on my normal day. Like, this isn't really the kind of music I listen to that much, but when I do hear it, I'm like, no, this is cool. This is like in its own little special world. So I liked it, but I honestly can't say that I listened to this that much this year.
Right. I think you got into it a little bit later on in the year, but...
Any other things? Ex-Military, he definitely had a lot to say on that one. That's where he kind of comments on the, are you Weinstein, Epstein, or are you the opposite? Like,
right.
You got to pick a side and show who you are in the world. He also says, no Drizzy.
Let's go.
So, like,
his Drake hatred is also, like... It's endearing to hear from him as well.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the way that an internet troll hates on something.
Yeah, exactly.
Just out of pure love for the game.
Yeah, it's a spectacle of like, wow, a troll made it, to this level, right? Where it's like that's rare.
And I think that's partly why his fan base is so passionate because they relate to him like he's a poster.
Yeah, he's a 4chan kind of guy. What can I say?
But yeah, I think I kind of admire his approach and his creation of the music more than I actually like listening to the songs.
True, I can see that, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I wanted to keep it only as an honorable, because I'm kind of split on it a little bit.
No one's doing it quite like JPEG, man. Are you done with JPEG?
Yeah.
My last honorable mention here, I'm curious if it made your top 10. I know you were a little bit more lukewarm on it during the year, was Lucky Daye, Algorithm.
No, it didn't make it into my list.
To me... I don't think it's as strong as Candy Drip or Painted. And I won't lie, I'll say that the live show, I think, elevated the album for me. Just hearing some of those songs live really made me truly appreciate the musicality of it all. And upon repeated listen to it a lot this year, all of the summer. One of the stronger R&B records for me this year. His vocals shine through. I think he's like he's a bright spot in contemporary R&B at this point. A lot of groovy and funky moments, but also equal amount like sultry and luscious almost. I would say moments as well on here, which we can call back to when we saw him live and he brought up that girl on stage and was just like, pretty much like stripping for her. Which was a crazy moment.
That was an eye-opening moment.
Yeah, learning about yourself that day a little bit.
I had my sexual awakening at a Lucky Daye show at the age of 27.
I will say, hi Nicky. It's the album's like an hour long. Could have maybe cut some stuff.
Yeah.
The spoken word skits are still not his strong suit. He does it on all of his albums, and it's not my favorite. But there's still some highlights on here for sure. Hurricane, Soft, Think Different.
That's You was one of my favorites.
That's You is fantastic. I think it would have been on my favorites of this year, but I think it came out last year, and I had it on my top songs of last year, so opted for something different this year. And we'll get into the best songs as well later on this episode. Mary I liked a lot as well. Lemonade's a great, bright pop R&B cut. Paralyzed is very moody. Love that one. Diamonds and Teal's a good outro. Didn't love the song Top. That was like the one that I'm not the biggest fan of. But I'm a big Lucky Daye fan, and I didn't quite have it on my top 10 list. It got edged out kind of last minute just because it's not... I'm a big fan of Lucky Daye, but I have to admit that it's not his best record, at least in my opinion. But I've been kind of going online, and there was an R&B subreddit, and apparently people are saying that's like the best R&B record of the year is this Lucky Daye one. It's way better than his last albums, and I'm like, I don't see it. I still love it. It's on my top, 15 of the year.
It kind of fell more into the just okay category for me, even though some of the highs were definitely high, but the kind of psychedelic rock influence stuff was
I liked it.
Was a little bit half baked in my opinion at moments. There were parts that I didn't like as much, and the spoken word stuff kind of took away. The algorithm concept I thought was a little bit half baked as well.
Yeah, sure. I can see that.
It was definitely higher on my rankings at first, and then when I re-listened to it, it wasn't like that special.
Didn't move the needle for you, yeah.
But
fair enough.
If it was an R&B only list, it would definitely be up there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. But I think it probably wouldn't have made I wouldn't probably be talking about it today if it wasn't for the live show, and the fact that definitely elevated it. For me.
It was a great show. He's a great performer.
Yeah, fantastic. Really strong vocalist, and the instrumentation was great as well.
Think Different was a good song, too.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, there's definitely some bangers.
Yeah. Not his best, but far from the worst this year.
So my last honorable is Roc Marciano, Marciology.
Okay.
He's definitely kind of the king of the underground. He's been
around for a long time.
Respected in the game for over 10 years. On this one, I just found it brought me into a very interesting kind of world. It's very like psychedelic, kind of brings imagery of like the New York City, like grimy 70s,
yeah, very grimy
80s kind of moments that he created. There was a song called Higher Self that I got really into, that had a sort of Sergio Leone spaghetti western kind of, like it dipped into a lot of really interesting and like worlds, and production wise he handled most of it himself, but there were a couple beats from Alchemist as well. So I thought that was really impressive, considering his album with the Alchemist from a few years ago, Alpha Man's Bones, was one of my favorites.
That was near the top of your list, right? That one year.
Yeah, I think it was 2022 that came out.
I did listen to that album, and I did quite like it. It hasn't quite stayed in my rotation. It's one of those things where listening to an album this time of year, I feel like kind of just gets lost to time. Because as soon as next year starts up, I want to listen to new music and whatever's coming out, and then like I kind of forget about some of the stuff that drops later on in the year.
And then I listen to only Christmas music for an entire
religiously.
He's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. His rapping style, I think he's very technically solid.
Yeah, me too.
But it's like I think you almost have to be kind of autistic to like this. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Bit, yeah.
Like he has his own way of saying things that it almost sounds illegible to the uninformed person listening to this. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I was a bit out there.
I mean, it's almost like if Action Bronson got into like a pretty serious car accident, and then like something was a little bit got rocked in his brain a little bit, but cut from the same cloth, I think.
No, but like I think it's important to keep a foot in the underground, and
that's something that you do
in the mainstream as well.
Yeah,
I will always listen to the top 10 or like keep some kind of knowledge of what's really popular, and try to also get into my own like something that's important to me. only me really, but
Yeah.
when I go online, I see lots of other people liked this as well.
And if I'm the person that brings like some of this alternative hip hop rock kind of stuff to the pod, you definitely bring like the deeper, more underground Alchemist type shit.
Yeah,
to the
drumless
pod.
beats.
Yeah. That's kind of
a guy mumbling over like a vocal sample playing over and over and over again. And a couple of those beats didn't work for me on this album, but a couple of the standouts: Go Yard God, Tapeworm, the last song called Flocks.
I liked Bad Juju with Larry June a lot.
That was a good one too. But there's just this really driving energy to that last song on the album as well.
Oh, I think I have heard this one. But yeah, the fucking I recognize the.
And I posted a clip of it of just like some shots I took just walking through the city and the cars going by, and just like there's something kind of like really gritty in real life about the feeling that it gave me. So we can get into our proper top 10s.
Let's fucking break into it.
Ding ding ding.
Number 10. I'm curious if this made your list. I have Lupe Fiasco Samurai.
Yes, that was number 6
on
my list.
A little higher up. One of the best, like, just straight up fucking hip hop classic sounding records this
school.
year easily. Somehow he made a concept of Amy Winehouse being a battle rapper like make sense, and it's hard. I will say the first it's only like 8 songs. It's very digestible, easy listening album. The concept was definitely really there on the first 4 songs, and the last 4 he didn't necessarily follow up on it. He didn't go into the whole, overdose. He didn't go over her whole life. Not that I didn't necessarily wanted to, but maybe I was like, that would have been an interesting angle to take on some of the songs. But
he took a very interesting approach at a concept where it was kind of a jumping off point for him to think about what it's like to be a musician and how to make it into,
because he was comparing it with his own life and his own story, which is what made it so interesting as well and compelling.
And there's definitely that jazz element
100%.
where they converged with Amy Winehouse's music, and also the very Chicago inspired sound.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm in Chicago and it's snowing at night, like while I'm listening to some of these songs. Like
for me, it's a walk through the park on a sunny day kind of album.
Right, Samurai definitely. That's a great summer tune.
Yeah, one
of my favorites from this year.
I think he's kind of carrying the torch for that sound, that more nostalgic, like early Kanye, Common, like And there was a real wave of Chicago artists that incorporated that kind of jazzy element, some socially conscious bars, but like a real lifeness to it as well. And he's kind of representing for that.
For sure.
For that
and
region.
Just one of the last, like, truly great storytelling rappers. And lyricists as well. Just like, double, triple entendres type of shit. Like, Mural's probably one of my favorite hip-hop albums, or songs of all time. Like, an 8-minute, just complete fucking, like, mental journey.
The song Cake, that was his rap god moment.
Yeah, Cake is great, yeah.
It's very rare for lyrical miracle stuff to actually hit for real.
Yeah.
But he did it on that one.
Yeah. That's
and it's like, sure. he almost gets so silly with it where he's almost kind of making fun of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a track later on, I think the song Outside, where he's kind of talking about writer's block a little bit more. When a battle rapper, like they try to come up with the most ridiculous bar possible, and like maybe what's good about it is that
it's actually
sucks.
Not good. Yeah, that was a great moment.
But how you like wrap your way around in circles trying to be the best rapper, and how you need to just go back to basics sometimes.
Exactly, and this is kind of almost him going back to basics. He was making a lot of like experimental, kind of out there music in like the mid 2010s, and some of it did click for me, but it kind of turned me off in terms of getting into him further, just because it was a little bit just, I don't know, maybe too heady or something for me.
Yeah, because I was expecting this to be a bit of a slog when I first listened to it.
No, but it's an easy listen, man.
Yeah. Totally impressed by that.
And I think it was well structured as well, in terms of just like it starts off with like him falling in love with hip hop, the come up, trying to maintain his authenticity through everything, struggling with fame, perplexities of performing, questioning their craft, like all that kind of good stuff was in there.
The song Palaces was one of the most beautiful.
Yeah, so good.
Spiritual kind of tracks.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of like catchy choruses here too, which I never necessarily.
Yeah, he low key has a good game.
Yeah, Samurai's a great chorus. Outside is great. Palaces, there's Palaces.
Yeah, there's a real effortlessness to some of those tracks.
Yeah,
Till Infinity is a good outro as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's more of an old school piano, has sort of an epic feel to it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a send off for that whole moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely you could take away with by saying it's a bit short, and the concept is a little bit out there.
But I think its length helps it, if anything. Honestly, I'd say the concept not quite sticking the landing in terms of not even sticking the landing. Like I think he got off what he wanted to get off, but like I feel like if he wanted to, he's like smart enough to really do more with it, right? With that concept.
Yeah.
It could have been longer, maybe, and maybe exercised a few more.
But this is like what his
like
like 9th album or something. Like
yeah, he's a workhorse, man.
He could retire any day.
Yeah.
So we're definitely lucky to get new Lupe.
Yeah.
And someday I'll do more of a deep dive and get back into like his catalog.
For sure. Another artist that I probably should have been into a long time ago.
But I picked up the Lasers CD recently.
Oh yeah, isn't that one of his most like divisive / worst albums?
Well, it has The Show Goes On, which is my favorite Lupe song. So
what's that one?
The Words I Never Said.
Words I Never Said is actually a great song. Yeah.
I had some other thing to say. Oh yeah. By the way, the official Rapcast rule is that an album has to be at least 7 songs or 20 minutes to be an album. Anything less than that,
all right, I'm in agreement,
is an EP.
There you go.
We're going by the Kanye rules from the summer he dropped 3 albums.
All right. What's your number 10, buddy?
Okay, so that was my number 6. Yeah. It's knocked out.
Boom. Get fucked. I'm gonna roll through your whole fucking list here, buddy.
Again, I have to hit you guys with some underground nerdcore.
Boom. I definitely haven't listened to whatever album you're gonna talk about.
There's a group called Gangrene, which is Alchemist and a rapper called Oh No.
Yeah. Okay.
Who I had never heard of.
He was on. Was he on? I think he was on the Alchemist's most recent album, like the one where he's rapping, and then I think he was maybe on one of the EPs from like last year or something like that. Yeah.
But this is definitely different in that it's an Alchemist produced project that he raps on, but he covers like half the rapping.
Yeah.
On a lot of these other albums, he has a verse on a couple of songs.
Right.
But he really carries it.
This is Heads I Win, Tails You Lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Dinosaur Jr. I like that one.
There's a song, Oxnard Water Torture. I mean, some of these song titles are crazy.
Muffler Lung? I don't know why I like that one. You Should Join the Army is a crazy title.
Some of the best songs that I heard this year were on this album. It's the craziest production, the nerdiest, most out there references. It really appeals to the 9th grade stoner in me that just wants to completely geek out over like these beats that are made out of old crime movies and instruments and random shit from the 20th century. And that's really the great thing with Alchemist is his ability to pull sounds and references that put you into these worlds. And
it's interesting. I think the Griselda guys kind of got you more into this that kind of style of music, and now that they've kind of taken a little bit of a backseat in terms of output and maybe even quality wise a little bit as well, you've been kind of had to dive deeper to try to find the gems that are still within that like a similar genre, similar sound.
Yeah, and I think production is a huge thing for me.
No, Alchemist is Alchemist, man. What can you say?
Half the work of music is the sound 100%. Of it, and not just what the people are saying.
Exactly. More than half, you could argue.
Yeah, I would say more than half.
Yeah. Because even if it's a great fucking verse, if it's on a shit beat, I'm not going to want to listen to it.
I find that that's something I had to train myself out of as a music listener by just paying attention to the words, but actually how does this make me feel and how does the instrumentation...
Right.
Like, I think with time I'm noticing that more. Mm-hmm. I read a Pitchfork review of it that kind of ripped this apart a little bit, which was funny to me because I was like, some of these moments that they're hating on were my favorites. Like for example, Watch Out, they do a Inspector Gadget. They kind of recreate the Inspector Gadget theme song.
I think you might have played that at one point. Yeah.
Completely threw me for a loop. That was great. Magic Dust is kind of a old school crime thriller kind of track. The song Just Doing Art featuring Boldy James, they had a lot of really good references to different artists from the past and kind of how that applies to modern day. Yeah, it was very like Adult Swim-esque, I would say. The humor, it drags a little bit in the middle.
Right.
But
13 songs, 39 minutes, not too bad.
Yeah, in that amount of time to incorporate all the different crazy zaniness and production sounds was quite a feat. Probably it would probably scare the hoes playing this one, but I'll be damned.
Is any of your lists not scaring the hoes up to this point? I mean, Lupe maybe not, but
last year I had like 3 women on my list. Okay,
It's true.
Let's not create a narrative.
I got Doechii on mine. I think yours is fucking.
Okay, but
all men, baby.
Doja Cat was my number 4.
That's true. Last year, yeah.
And also
you had
Caliuchis and No Name. So
that's right. I forgot about that No Name project.
A lot of great female rappers, but
yeah.
Unfortunately, none of them really made it onto my list. So anyway, let's move on. What's your number 10?
My number 10 was Lupe. My number 9.
Okay.
I know this one ain't gonna be on your fucking list. Is the Matt Champion album. Mika's Laundry. I know this is not your cup of tea, but this is the alternative kind of hip hop, but definitely not weird fucking bag Dominic Fike-esque album. He's trying a lot on here. I think it's very creative. It's unique for sure. It's it's experimental indie, pop, rock, R&B, but also folk and funk. Like it's just it's a little bit of everything.
I don't know if it's really R&B.
No, not really. I mean, there's some parts that are like it's just nice singing over like acoustic guitars, which is like almost kind of R&B.
But there's this
to me,
lo-fi.
More so indie pop rock.
It definitely fits into the sound of some of the sounds that Brockhampton.
Yeah, but I think it's his own thing as well, and he's kind of carving his own path, which I respect here. There's definitely some parts of this album that don't necessarily work. I applaud him for trying. Like even this first song, Green, when he's going like Alabama Blue, and that's the first thing I hear on the album, and I'm just like, oh, whoa. It definitely it can turn some people off for sure. And yeah, some of his vocal inflections on here like aren't like traditionally the greatest thing in the world. But I think in general, there's a lot of catchy and melodic moments on here where his singing does shine through. I feel like his singing was underutilized in Brockhampton, and this is just more of a detriment towards that. I think it's a ballsy tape for him to do this, and then it definitely grew on me over time as well. Kind of reminds me of Blanket by Kevin Abstract in terms of them just kind of going out of left field on their first like post Brockhampton album, doing something that really isn't like that sound at all.
Yeah.
And I liked Blanket honestly as well. There's some songs on there I still listen to, but I think this one is generally stronger. Whereas the Joba album, I don't think it's on either of our lists. I think it's arguably like a better sounding like overall like a better project, but I just prefer Matt Champion's album, and I can admit that there's probably some albums this year that dropped that are better than this album, but I just prefer the sound and the style of this one to some of those ones.
I also prefer the Joba project, but it didn't end up on my list. It's more kind of clean instrumentation.
Yeah.
More traditional.
It's polished. Where this one is just more kind of just he's fucking trying. And for the most part, it has high highs. And I
honestly, I was a bit harsh on it. I listened to it earlier today, and there were some good tracks, some good moments that I liked. Mainly Aphid.
I liked Purify and Dogfish as well a lot.
The song he did with like some K-pop star or whatever was like kind of good. Honestly.
Slow Motion, I like that one. Meeting You, the outro track is great. Aren't You Excited is one of my favorites.
I didn't mind that one either.
Aren't You Excited? That's more of like this poppier shit, but I like that one a lot.
But G-Biv was a weird moment to me because he was like teasing doing a rap verse,
and then he just kind of gives up.
Like, I was expecting this to. It was kind of a rug pull moment, I guess.
Yeah, that one I liked a lot more initially than when I was listening back to the album. And I'm like, it didn't really quite work for me. Same with the intro song Green as well. I didn't love that one.
It felt more like the music for like a teaser video
Yeah.
for like new Matt Champion album.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And I liked a lot of the parts of Slug, but the chorus just didn't, like the vocal inflection on the chorus is just a bit grating to me.
Yeah.
But I still like a lot of what he did on this record, and I think the future is bright for him. He's like, would it be crazy to say that he has maybe some of the most potential commercially coming out of Brockhampton, other than Kevin Abstract maybe? He's a cute white boy. He had a K-pop star on his debut record. Like I don't know. I think the future is bright for him.
No, I think he'll be able to keep putting out music.
Yeah, and I was going through my replay, and this is like it's in my top 5 most listened to of the year. Like I listened to this album a lot. Not all the way through, start to finish, but the songs, like I had them on so many of my playlists. Like all summer, I was listening to it. Like it just
it was definitely a summer vibe.
Yeah, but that's my like cute white boy mention on my top 10. The rest are cool black dudes, so don't even have to worry about it from there. That's my number 9.
Just like I wish I was.
What's your number 9, Alex?
I'm gonna tell you after this commercial break. Drinking a.
Uh-oh.
I gotta have a drink for this one.
Oh boy, what's it gonna be?
My number 9. Curious to see where this landed on your list.
If at all.
Kendrick Lamar's
Whoa!
GNX.
This is not number 1, but number 2 for me.
That's your number 2.
It fucking the grip that it had on my fucking balls for the past like month is undescribable. It's all I've been listening to.
Kendrick, if you're listening to this, let up on your grip on my buddy's balls.
Your grip is too tight, Kendrick. We can't handle it.
He's got a life to live here.
I think it's. I mean, it's unfortunate to. Yeah, we'll get into it. Okay. It's unfortunate that it like leapfrogged so many albums for me, even though I didn't have time to sit with it as much. But like, I can't deny that it's just one of the strongest rap projects of the entire year. And
yeah,
even in an album that you can argue, people were arguing it's a fucking mixtape. It's an in-between album. It's still you could maybe put it in the top of his discography as well.
Yeah, it does feel a bit more thrown together than like a Mr. Morale. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
It does have a mixtape energy, but Kendrick being on the level that he is, you know, his B-sides are like a normal rapper's A-sides, you know. Like,
and I think some of his best work does actually shine through on here as well, to me.
Yeah, to me it feels a lot like a Damn-esque moment for the, like, you know, Damn came out right after Trump came into office. Now they're
doing it again, running it back, baby.
Trump 2.
Yeah.
So we got to have another kind of dance, like more of a happy record, but it's also kind of sad at the same time.
But it's also angry and fuck you and fuck everyone and
it's K-Dot versus
and he
the
has
world.
Something, even on a party, more of a fun energy record, he still has a whole lot to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it's 12 tracks, 44 minutes. It's I can definitely see myself. I don't think it's a better record than Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but I can definitely see myself listening to it more just because I think it's his most straightforward, accessible, easiest listen album to date.
Yeah,
and it's still a unique album in his discography for sure. This is his most West Coast easily. People were wanting a West Coast album after Not Like Us, and this is exactly what we got. I don't think anyone could be disappointed in what we got.
I definitely enjoyed that concept, kind of touring through different sounds, like he rapping over the Tupac beat.
Yeah,
doing some R&B tracks with SZA.
What was that?
Was that a bug?
Sounded like it. I was worried. I'm worried that it's my camera, but I didn't.
Was it buzzing?
I think it's fine. Yeah, I heard a little.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, okay.
Shut the fuck up!
Josh is just shaking in his boots over there. I can't wait till we get here.
That was my phone.
Okay. I think it's a really well sequenced project in terms of mixing the fucking energy tracks with like the more serious, introspective, classic Kendrick songs as well. That I think elevates the album listening experience to me. If it was just a random, just threw it all out there, then it would be different. But I think it is actually well sequenced for sure.
Yeah,
the intro and outro are strong in the middle, reincarnated in the middle of the track list, like, you know, all that kind of shit.
It's definitely
was iconic. Reincarnated.
Yeah, I mean on that track, he was like both God and the devil, and then he was also Tupac or something. You know, I don't know what he did.
He was Billie Jean, and he was also who the fuck was it?
John Lee Hooker.
Yeah,
and it was Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday, not Billie Jean. Jesus. But there were people were arguing the Billie Holiday thing on the second verse, saying that like Billie Holiday didn't die of a drug overdose though, or some shit like that. Oh. So it might be someone else. and someone presented an alternate theory that I saw on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, that could be it, but I don't really know. But hey, it gets you fucking thinking, man. Yeah, I think honestly that might be one of his like. Is that not one of his strongest songs? Like you could probably put that in top 10 Kendrick songs almost.
Yeah,
you could argue. Beat wise, energy wise, like delivery is just so fucking crazy.
He was experimenting that through on different things too. That idea of him being reincarnated as things like because like the songs that were leaked from him, that he was like he was like the personification of
Michael Jackson was one of them.
Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson's song and Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech and stuff like that. Like he was taking the like persona of that. He was experimenting with that idea for a long time, and it was really, for a little bit, and so it was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, on one level, it feels like, he's doing more poppy, dancey tracks for the Super Bowl thing, but it's also
I don't think you can call them pop. Maybe Luther.
Well, like Squabble Up and Hey Now and songs like that. You know, one might say he's trying to get more of these tracks out there for the Super Bowl performance.
Which I don't think is wrong to say.
But I think there's a sense that like he's going undercover as a pop artist, but we know like in the back of his mind he's got all these revolutionary raps about how he's going to change everything.
And it's still, this album is still like very much like it's me versus the world, fuck everybody else type shit. Like it's still very like fuck the industry, fuck all this shit. Like,
and that's why it's
on this album.
I find it's a compelling storyline content. Like, you know, I like his little line about Snoop Dogg. Like, oh, I saw Snoop Dogg posted it. Must have been the edibles,
man. Yeah.
I will get a little bit negative, like why it's a bit lower on my list. On some of the tracks, the messianic stuff about like how it's all me against the world, like this religious imagery about him, you know, like he's the new Jesus or whatever. Sometimes I get a little bit tired of it, and on the song Man at the Garden, I didn't really like this I deserve it all thing. It kind of sounds a bit different knowing now that he's like a CEO or whatever, saying I deserve it all.
What is he a CEO for, PG Line?
I don't know. It comes off a little bit weird to me.
I
didn't really like that moment.
Disagree, just because if you're in the context of like this is the victory lap, and also in comparison to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, it's like I'm not your savior, but I deserve it all. I'm the greatest rapper of all time. Like, I appreciate that dichotomy.
Right.
That he's still able to do both.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it writing wise. Just the sound of that track.
It's a bit sleepy, maybe.
I didn't like do it for me. And this one might get me killed, but like the Dodger Blue song, I wasn't really feeling that kind of 80s synth vibe.
I've seen some really liking it. Divisiveness towards that one. I think that one definitely grew on me over time, and it's not. It's like it's maybe one of Kendrick Lamar's like least. I don't know how to put this. Necessary songs, maybe. I don't think he's saying all that much on here. There's not much to dive into. I just think it's a good vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for what it is, and to get some of the homies on there, Roddy Ricch is on here. Like to get put on. It's a very LA song. Good fucking nighttime drive track. I'd say the one song that I generally don't like as much is the self-titled track GNX with all of his buddies on there.
I didn't like it that
much. It's just fucking wacky as shit, and I respect it a lot, and I think there's still some really funny moments of like
I'm tripping and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Like he's really relishing this moment.
I know, and good for him, as he should, bro. Like this is a generational fucking rap beef that happened earlier in the year, and this is him fucking just loving it and living in it.
Like he's here for the, you know, it might get sticky, but you know what? He's here for it, you know?
It gets sticky. I think that, even on an album like this, he has plenty of stuff to say. He explores his relationship with hip-hop.
The Heart Part 6 was an amazing moment.
Fantastic song. Probably one of his best songs. And just to hear him talking about TDE like that and mentioning Soul and Q and J-Rock, it just makes me feel good. And just like how the fact that he admits that he was the one that didn't was the reason behind Black Hippie Never working is because he wanted to push new sounds, and he felt like he was not being held back, but felt like he just wanted to do new things and do his own thing, and how leaving a family unit like that you had to handle it with a lot of care and respect between both parties, and he wraps up the song like that, and explains how like a handshake is better, or is a hand to hand.
You think he's gonna bring out Black Hippie or TDE at the?
I don't know. I don't think so. Just because there's not a lot of time. There's not as much time as there was to pop out.
I would like to see them do a whole.
It would be great, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of calling out the industry. A lot of definitely bars relating to the beef, for sure. We don't have to get into all of them because you've already heard it, I'm sure, listening out there, everyone.
Yeah, I wish we had an hour to talk about this.
I know, yeah, but he kind of caught us at a rough time.
I just want to listen to Peekaboo for a second.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my bitch.
I wanted to start off the Rapcast like that. Fuck. Hey, it's Rapcast. Hey, it's Rapcast.
What's that podcast? That podcast ain't another.
Nice job.
They ain't pop out nothing. Huh?
They ain't pop out nothing? That's good. They ain't pop out nothing. Do we think there's going to be deluxe? There's rumors that like on the 12th that he might drop something, which would be probably before this episode drops.
I saw a whole theory.
It could already be out.
Oh, it's because December 13th is like the day that something happened and there's 3 new albums and that's what he's going to say. He's going to drop 5 more songs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're going crazy. The stands are going crazy. We're going crazy. I think he mentions deluxe on here on Squabble Up, pop out like a deluxe type shit. And I think fucking who was it? One of the guys that's featured on here straight up said like the deluxe is coming. And I think Daylight as well, the TDE rapper, new TDE rapper, mentioned it as well. So might all be smoke and mirrors. Who's to fucking say? I wouldn't be surprised just because the way this was rolled out was just like an hour before it fucking dropped. It was like a teaser on his Instagram, and it just the whole thing dropped. But that teaser isn't on the album. So maybe that's probably the main prevailing theory as to why there might be more music coming sooner rather than later. I don't know if it will be a deluxe. I don't think there's a whole other album coming out before the fucking Super Bowl. I really doubt it. But a few more songs, sure. I can see that.
I mean, boom, bop, bing, bong, bing, bong, bam. The type of shit
you wouldn't understand. I will say this album does seem like it was done within the past 2 or 3 months, because it's true. He didn't get the beat for fucking GNX self-titled track until like a few days before the album dropped. The Spanish singer he got was only like in the past 2 months or something like that. And obviously all these references towards the Super Bowl and the Drake beef, it's clear that this was done over the past few months. So I will say it's not his best or most well-rounded or thoughtful project, but there's still so much here that I love. And the fact that we got like a party record from Kendrick, but still sprinkled in some really thoughtful and great introspective, like kind of jazz rapped more type moments on here is great.
I was gobsmacked.
Doing everything that I wanted him to do here.
The Squabble Up, like the way they flip that like sample.
Come on. Yeah. Do we want to do a track by track even, or just like shout out some tracks?
I think we pretty much touched on most of it.
Mural's a fantastic intro. A statement piece for the rest of the album. It's a fucking haunting beat. It fucking grows and develops.
Did you hear they whacked out the SF mural?
No fucking way, bro. We gotta
the strap.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah, Whacked Up Murals, Squabble Up, Luther is fantastic. Man in the Garden is good. Hey Now is great.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I really like that.
Hey Now, say now.
Spooky. Yeah. Delivery is fucking. It's a dark, fucking gritty ass shit.
What the fuck you wearing, bro? It's tacky.
I was laughing so hard.
Yeah. Reincarnated's masterpiece. TV Off is great.
Fucking ball.
Like he's doing half this album in an ironic voice.
Yeah,
like,
I know. which can turn people off, because that's what Darren said, or fucking diaper. Rad Lusso fucking said about this album. He has fucking too many names, this guy. He was like, he was like, I listened to the first 3 songs, I shut it off. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And he was like, yeah, I'm just not a fan of his voice. And he's never really been a fan. Back in fucking Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, he was like, why is he doing this nasally voice? He's never been a big fan of Kendrick's
That's so funny, just
voice.
not getting Kendrick. Like,
it's not even that he doesn't. I think he gets it, but I just don't think it's his type of shit. But I explained to him, I'm like, you're just not a fan of music. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And he agreed. He was like, yeah, you're right. At least not like to our degree. We have a whole fucking podcast. Like we love this shit, man. Like this is everything.
Imagine doing this show and not actually liking music.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
Sometimes I feel like that.
Believe it. He mentioned Lil Wayne. He took a shot at Lil Wayne. You could argue.
Oh right, the new Lil Wayne beef.
And Lil Wayne was like, "What the fuck did I do?" And it's like, "Bro, you were like crying on a press tour about like being like, man, it should have been me, or not should have been me, but just like, yeah, I'm disappointed, all that kind of shit." He definitely felt the way about it.
And then they show clips of Lil Wayne performing. And
yeah,
they're like,
he's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
That was a weird post from him, though.
Yeah,
you do not want full destruction. You do not
Yeah.
want to wake the giant.
which like, yeah, sure. Lil Wayne is one of my favorite rappers, one of my goats for sure. In a rap battle against Kendrick Lamar, no, not even close.
Lil Wayne.
Drake had better odds going into it
Yeah.
than Lil Wayne would, honestly. And Lil Wayne he's been in beefs before that he's not come out looking the greatest.
He's not
either.
like a mean rapper. Like,
No. And I think I saw an interview saying like he's not a battle rapper. That's not what he does it for, type shit. So you can't really blame him.
Holy shit.
He was alluding to Drake offering Bitcoin in exchange for dirt in LA, which I thought was crazy. That was on Whacked Out Murals.
Bitcoin, a currency often used by PDF files. A new word we have to say now, because
Yeah,
we
of
can't
course.
just say pedophile.
No. You just said it. Anyway. And even in the tracks like Squabble Up, like even in the bangers, he still has like really sharp lyricism to me. Not necessarily like huge standout bars, but just like, just solid stuff. I like the chorus on that one. I look good, get the fuck on my face. It's hard. Luther's fucking beautiful. SZA and Kendrick's vocals go great together.
Yeah, beautiful song.
I just love seeing people online, like, from all over, turning into a Compton Crip, like, doing the...
Yeah.
Like, everyone suddenly knows how to Crip walk now, and I'm just watching these videos,
Yeah.
like...
Trying to do it. You're just
Remember when we tried to dance on that one episode? Roll the clip!
We did.
Don't roll the clip.
I will. Fuck you. I'm doing it.
This is like a whiplash. This is whiplash. Call them amber lamps.
Call him a jabroni?
Way too white, man.
Alright, run it back. I like the bar on Man on the Garden of the whole thesis of that song is tell me why you deserve the greatest of all time. And to me that could be seen as a shot towards Drake, or it could be as like tell me why you fans deserve me type shit.
Exactly.
So I thought that was really cool interpolation.
The first time I heard that, that's how I took it.
Yeah.
Wow. Negotiation one-on-ones. Flip it around.
Exactly.
Ask them, why do you want me working at your company? That's how you get the job.
Yeah. TV Off talks about he's cutting off his granny. She doesn't see it how I see it. That's fucking crazy. The mustard. We don't have to talk about the mustard screaming. We don't have to talk about that. It's already been done to death. Part 6, GNX,
I might
Gloria.
consider actually getting into Mustard the Condiment.
Yeah.
That's how good this album was.
The mustard stock is going to go up. We should have.
I never liked mustard.
No, me neither.
I don't understand why people even eat it.
I understand honey mustard. But straight up
Me too,
fucking
yeah.
like just
Yeah.
mustard from the fucking plastic yellow bottle. No. Nasty.
I don't give a fuck if it's Dijon.
I will say the last track, Gloria, with SZA, it's a great song. It's not the most unique song in the world. A concept of like, oh, this my bitch is my pen though. Like what? Like, but it's cool that Kendrick did it, and I think he did it well enough. And I think it's a good outro.
Yeah. All right, I think we should move on.
Good job, Kendrick. Thank you for saving us.
Thanks for
You are my savior. I
screwing
don't care
up
what
our
you
list.
say. You're my savior, Kendrick. Please acknowledge the podcast.
So our
That was your number 9?
Yeah.
So I did my number 9 was Matt Champion. My number 8 was ScHoolboy Q. So I'll go to my number 7. I'm curious if this one made your list. It is fellow TDE artist Sir with Heavy. R&B record that we didn't get to see live from this year.
yeah, that's my number 1 album.
No fucking way. Wow.
It's already cat's out of the bag.
Huge. I mean, a cat's out of the bag. It's an hour 20 into the podcast. That makes sense. I only have like 5 more to go. Wow, number 1. Because I was going to look back to the podcast to remember what we said about it. I couldn't find us even talking about this album on the podcast.
I
don't
remember
even know if we
talking
did.
about it though.
I remember too, but I couldn't find it. We must have only done it for like 10 minutes. I didn't put it in the fucking description.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it much, so we'll get
Honestly,
into it.
the Drake Kendrick beef like rolled over other like topics
For sure.
But this came out in March 2022 or 22
Yeah.
March. So yeah,
That was right around the beat. Yeah, right around when it started up.
But we'd been waiting a long time for it, and
Yeah.
we already had like 5 of the songs
Yeah.
at that point.
I think it is the best R&B. This is like my highest R&B, like straight up R&B record on my list that I have.
Yeah. To me, it was just a perfect. It was just a 10 out of 10 album.
You can't really say anything bad about it.
There were no moments that like didn't work for me, and it just gave me a good feeling.
Mm-hmm. To me, the reason why it lands a little bit further down on my list is that, unfortunately, comparing it to Chasing Summer, his album from years ago, I don't think it is as good. I don't think it's as necessary or as essential of an album as Chasing Summer. That to me is like an modern R&B classic. And this one, in comparison, is a bit more poppy, a bit more generic, maybe. Just compared to his last ones. Not compared to anything else, but just compared to his last one. So I don't like it quite as much, but it's still like a fucking, 8.5, 9 out of 10 record to me. A lot of highlights. I just don't, as an album, I don't have the urge to listen to it front to back. Whereas I could just take a lot of the songs are highlights, and you can take out and put in playlists and and love it.
That's one of the qualities I liked about it the most, is that a lot of the songs could fit greatly into some playlist, and if it pops up while you're listening on shuffle, it would be great. And there's also like album cuts that are really good.
Yeah, for sure.
It operates on both levels at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, certain songs are elevated by listening to it in the album process. Other tracks like Satisfaction, which had been out for already a few years. Yeah. I was really glad to see that kind of have its home in an album now.
I think I wrote a note exactly like that, of like, there's a lot of, like, maybe there's like 3 or 4 or 5 songs on here that were singles from years ago that I was kind of worried going into it, be like, is this going to take away from the album? How's it going to sound? But it seems like they have a home now on this tape, and it fits in like perfectly.
I kind of compare it a little bit to Anderson .Paak's album this year, which I'm curious to see if it ends up on your list somewhere. In that, listening to it the first time, I already knew a couple songs. Yeah. I knew that I would like them. Yeah. But in the case of the Sir album, everything in between was up to par as well, whereas the Anderson .Paak had some moments that didn't really work for me as well. And I thought really the best songs came out as singles from that album. The rest of it was kind of a bit filler to me. But yeah, like, I think it's a mixture of the traditional elements of R&B, gospel, a lot of like a hip-hop edge to some of the tracks, like No Evil. It was poppy, it was jazzy, there was some jazz moments. 6 Whole Days. Yep. I really liked the use of piano on that one.
And there's some straight up bangers on here too. Ignorant with Ty Dolla $ign, Poetry Emotion with fucking Anderson .Paak.
The features are
perfect.
Perfectly placed.
I'm Not Perfect with Absol.
Isaiah Rashad's verse on Karma's
fucking such a great song.
There were some rare album cuts, like You was a song you might forget about because the title is very nondescript, but it's kind of the love song that has a very like driving hip hop beat to it.
It's necessary for the record. Works. It's not my favorite song on here.
It really worked with me, and there's enough of like casualness and also deepness going on with certain confessional tracks, like Only Human.
It's a very human record. Yeah, because he wrote a lot of this, I think, in rehab for some of his drug problems. He's been like a kind of a serial cheater with this woman that he's been with for a long time, and he's like, what's really special about this album to me is that he's taking this accountability for it, and he's not like pussyfooting around it kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a maturity record.
Very mature record, yeah.
And I think there were some gems in there. The song "Trying My Hardest" I kind of related to. Yep. Just that relationships are difficult at times, and it's a work. Yeah. To actually like do the work of creating a life with somebody. So it really struck with me. That's why it's my number one. I know it's weird. The Rapcast R&B album, my number one. Same last year as well. The Daniel Caesar one.
I was Dominic Fike last year as well. And spoiler alert, my number one album this year is not hip hop either. So yeah, maybe we should rename the fucking podcast, guys. I don't know.
But comparing this to Daniel Caesar, this was a lot more hip hop infused.
Yeah, I prefer this one to Daniel Caesar as well. I think honestly.
It goes in the whip. It goes on a walk through the park.
Yeah, it's very
any context,
universal. Yeah,
yeah. Life is Good. There's a nice little Toronto shout out in that
Yes, sir,
one.
man. He's mentioned Toronto a few times, and then Drake fucking fucking destroyed it for us.
It kind of reminds me of SZA's album SOS as well, in terms of like songs that are great for a playlist.
Yeah, true.
Also, some really good, deep, emotional stuff that could come up as well. So
good point. Yeah, I could definitely see this one. I mean, at this point, like my list is kind of interchangeable. Like from Sir and onward, like I had a really tough time placing some of these, but they're all like 9s out of 10s, 8.5s at least. Kind of idea.
We're getting into 9 category.
Yeah, let's fucking
9
go.
Territory.
So that was my number 7. What's next for you?
Okay, my number 8. Going back into the underground once again. Boldy James and Conductor Williams.
Is this Brictionary? Oh no, this is Across the Tracks.
No, Boldy James put out like 3 albums this year. He did one with Nicholas Craven.
Yeah, you're right. Holy shit.
One with Harry Fraud. This one is a collaboration with Conductor Williams.
Yeah, I haven't heard a single thing off this.
It's called Across the Tracks. 10 songs.
Cool cover.
This is one of the best like rapper producer collabs that I've seen in a while. There's something about Conductor Williams' beats. The way he kind of he chops up kind of soul samples and approaches beats, like he'll create these drumless beats that are popular in the underground now.
Yeah.
There's something very soulful about his verses and the music together. Mm-hmm. And there is kind of a train theme, as it were, that I kind of feel in a way, because again, talking about the regions of hip hop, Boldy James from Detroit, Conductors from St. Louis, and this kind of Midwest feeling of it being in between things, and these trade routes that are through train tracks, and the kind of emptiness creates this kind of emotional background where Boldy James gets into these verses where he's constantly going through his past, and it's kind of filled with some regret, and he's talking like gangster shit about trafficking drugs and the things he had to do to come up, which I don't personally relate to, but the feeling is what I
mean, you grew up right on the train tracks, right?
There's a train track right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Only 26 minutes. Wow, 10 songs. I'll have to give it a spin.
Boldy is definitely another kind of similar in the vein of Roc Marciano.
Yeah, he hasn't quite. There's that. What was that one album with Alchemist?
Bo Jackson.
Was that the one with like the blue cover?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite albums.
There's a few songs on that one that I listened to. I'm like, okay, these are pretty good, but I haven't quite given them the time of day, so I need to do that still.
Yeah, I think his vocal style might seem a little monotone, but there's a kind of restrained emotion in his stories that are kind of filled with regret and like just meditating on the past. There's a song called The Old Switcheroo, which has a very historical kind of backdrop where the beat kind of slowly comes together and incorporates
shut up, I'm just gonna play it, okay? Okay.
Train wreck, pale face with the plane set. Dead day, but the bezel flew. My bitch hit my line, bitches all in the background. Others do, I don't never mute them.
Okay, that's hard.
Yeah, the kind of the soulfulness like definitely comes from like Conductor will take these vocal samples and incorporate them and stretch them out in a way where you can a little piece of someone's fucking life like on wax, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Conductor is one of the producers to watch, definitely.
He's like an Alchemist light in terms of his style.
Similar to the Alchemist, but he approaches the beats in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get into, but I follow. He makes TikToks where he'll explain how he got into this beat.
Right.
And he always talks about the textures of the music and how it's creating a backdrop for this, and the rapper is almost the painter, and they come in and they color in the rest. The song Flying Trapeze Act was one of my favorites. The kind of imagery of the circus, but he's relating that to like my youngins catching bodies like a flying trapeze act, and that's where it kind of connects into this Midwestern history theme that I kind of relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I pretty much got all my thoughts off on that.
Nice.
You have not listened to it?
No, I have to give but I'm curious though. It's a short listen. I'll definitely be doing. It sounds like a wintry album to me, just from that one song.
His album with Nicholas Craven from a few years ago, it kind of hit a similar spot.
Right.
But he's a producer from Montreal, and it definitely had a wintry, almost
the cover was
Canadian
the fucking,
vibe to
was
it. The
syrup can
Yeah.
that you can get in fucking Quebec. So,
but I don't know. The Midwest is a strange region because it feels like we're kind of part of it. Hamilton, it's kind of these rusted old cities.
Yeah.
And these kind of in-between spaces, trade routes and lakes and rivers and stuff.
Yeah.
But then Canada is kind of a different thing. Toronto...
Exactly, yeah. We're not all that far from Detroit, though.
But Toronto has a very polished...
Toronto's very different.
Because it's the cultural capital of Canada. But we're kind of a part of this grimy Midwestern world.
Yeah, a bit of both.
Detroit and Buffalo, Hamilton, it's kind of similar.
Yeah, no, you're right. You spitting.
Thank you on my geography knowledge. Finally coming to fucking handy.
Your degree's coming into play here. What number was that? Was that 7 for you? 8?
That was my number 8. I feel like my number 7 we're going to share. Let's just see.
My number... My 8 was ScHoolboy Q, 7 was Sir. My number 6, funnily enough, we just mentioned it, or you did, was Why Lord by NxWorries, Anderson Paak, and Knxwledge. I know you're not, even when we did the podcast, you weren't as big of a fan of it. I think this is one of Anderson Paak's strongest albums to me. I think mainly because of the context of his divorce that runs through this album, I think gives it a lot of interesting topics to kind of go into. Definitely gives it a certain mood. Definitely gives it just more credence to me, and just like definitely stands out to me a little bit more than some of his other work. In terms of in comparison to the last NxWorries project, have you ever heard that one? Yes,
no.
Lord. It's good, but it's a bit more all over the. This one's like more focused to me. The other one's a bit more all over the place. This one has better themes to it. It's more impactful. The other one has like good singular songs, but I don't listen to it much as an album. I really like the sound, the production wise on this album. Late night, moody, silky smooth. Chill, but also vulnerable, and he's getting real with it, and he's acknowledging his, similar to the Sir record, he's being accountable to an extent, even though he is also a serial cheater, I think, for the most part. Much like all of our heroes are, apparently.
Man in the music industry.
And yeah, just really interesting in terms of the trials and tribulation, the highs and lows of a relationship. Kind of, he brings you through like the whole falling in love phase, and then the aftermath of everything, and just like of the divorce and everything like that. And it kind of sums it up in a really nice way with Walk On By, which is one of my favorite tracks of the year, with Earl Sweatshirt, of just like, hey man, shit happens sometimes, like kind of vibe. And I'll let you talk about it for a sec, if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it fell more into the just pretty good category for me. My favorite tracks off of it were like Where I Go with Her.
That was great.
Walk On By was kind of the climax, and I think one of the best songs that came out this year. It was just a bit light for me as far as the whole album goes.
Right. I will say there are some moments, like towards the back part of the record, there are some moments that are just a little undercooked, maybe. The song, the Never remix with Charlie Wilson. I wish I like it, but I just wish it was longer. And having a Dave Chappelle intro your album is definitely a choice. I'll say that at this point.
In 2024,
there's song she used isn't like more of it. Like there's in between Out the Way and Distant Space. There's just some songs in there that don't necessarily hit for me.
I think it was Out the Way.
I'm out the way, man, pop up on me. Be all
there was just something.
Need.
There was something weird about that beat that just kind of bugged me. There was this kind of talking in the background.
Right, I think you mentioned that on the pod.
I know it's a weird nitpick to make. I don't know, some of the moments just didn't work for me as much, and it felt a little bit like, whereas I feel Sir really went in on his personal struggles, and it felt a bit more serious. This one felt a bit more jokey.
Yeah, for sure. He's maybe not taking it as seriously as he should be.
I feel when Anderson .Paak really shines, I like him on more traditional modern R&B pop. I feel like when he did the whole Silk Sonic thing, I just got used to hearing that side of him.
Right.
And now that he's going back to doing more underground hip hop sound, it's not working. Like, I heard this song he did with Blast this year called Dance with the Devil.
Yeah, that one's good.
And I liked it more than anything on this album. As far as just the sound of it,
I understand
it was so earwormy.
His voice might be better suited to something like more R&B shit, but I still think he's a great rapper. I think he's one of the most versatile artists of our current generation. I mean, he's not the best rapper, obviously, but he's a fantastic singer and he can hold his own for sure.
Yeah,
rap-wise. There's some great rap moments on here.
Skills.
86 Centro is a great hip hop record. Distractions, Battlefield's one of my favorite songs as well. From Here with Snoop Dogg, that one's I love that one as well. I think it's a good. To me, it's a solid mix of hip hop, R&B, almost neo soul, but also a mix of like braggadocio rap, and being in his feelings and shit like that. Kind of like it's the dichotomy of like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna see other bitches. I got a new apartment. I'm gonna do my own thing, but also being like, fuck man, like it sucks. And just like I called you up drunk on the plane one night, like out there beating your cheeks in grease, man. What the fuck is going on? Type shit. To me, yeah, it's. I think it's excellent use of features as well here with Thundercat, Snoop Dogg, Earl Sweatshirt. The worst thing I can say about it, some songs are maybe a bit undercooked. Would have liked it to be a little bit longer. Some of the songs or more thought out, but one of my favorite records of the year. It's trying new stuff. It's not quite an R&B album, so I can say that the Sir record is my favorite R&B album of the year. This one's kind of it's hard to pin down in terms of like it's hip hop, but also it's not. So.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was just okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it would probably be in my top 20 years.
Yeah, and some of these are interchangeable, by the way. These might change by the time that I'm editing this fucking podcast, even. So I'm close to my top 5 here. You already got my number 2 with Kendrick. You got my 5, 4. I got 5, 4, 3, and 1 left. What do you got?
I got 4 left to talk about.
Okay, so we each got 4 left. We're at an hour 30.
I feel like this one we might have in common.
Okay.
My number 7.
Yes, sir.
Mustafa. Dunya.
Where is it? Number 1.
That was your number 1.
Number 1.
Okay.
Best record of the year to me, and it's not honestly really close. I think.
Wow.
It's I think a perfect record. It's not necessarily the style that I gravitate towards the most. This very fucking folk soft R&B style. Someone said that this is like Bon Iver if he had shooters. Which I'm like, okay, yeah, man, that's good.
I appreciate that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he takes a folk approach to stories from like the hood, like where he grew up.
It's so unique in that sense. No one else is doing music like that.
I was listening to one of the tracks, and I think it was "I'll Go Anywhere."
Yeah.
There was almost a country.
Yeah.
No, it was what good is a heart? That's the one. It almost sounded like the country, like a country.
There
song.
are some little hints of country in there as well.
But it's bringing that type of sensitivity about life towards people that are often marginalized in our society. Especially, we're seeing a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment becoming more popularized now with the rise of
100%.
New right-wing politicians that are going to post racist stories about people
and stuff that's
trying to make
happening
them look
in our
bad.
country of Trudeau axing some of the, at least like axing international students from coming into the country as well, which is like therefore impacting the schools. Sheridan got a bunch of courses cut, like photography and animation, huge programs.
Fucking crazy.
Josh's program got cut as well.
No, well, I mean,
the music one that you're currently in got cut. You're still finishing it off.
Yeah, I'm still finishing it off. But thankfully, knock on wood, the program that I'm going to for Sheridan is still open.
We'll still be there, yes. Yeah. We hope so as well. I think this album, it's so unique because it's so heavy, but like sonically and musically it's very light. In terms of but vocally and writing. I think it's one of the best written albums in a long time as well. Just the poetry on it. We just talked about this album, to be fair, on the most recent podcast, so go listen to that if you want more in depth. I want to take a moment to talk about the concert as well, that because I went to see him like a week after we did the show.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'll talk about that in a bit, but we can get a few more thoughts off.
I think somewhere, not on this album, but he referred to like the area he grew up with as both a dreamland and a graveyard.
Yeah, like, come on.
And that kind of
Come on,
ethos
man.
comes
Yeah.
through. Yeah, and I think that like sometimes we talk about politics in music and how do you make a political point without being long-winded or going on your soapbox. I think this album kind of proves that just bringing the humanity and the stories
Exactly.
about real people,
That's the way to do it.
that's how you just show people that, you know, people aren't just
Yeah.
like what the media is going to say that they're, you know, people are not just like the most negative things that are focused on constantly, but fully, nor are people just like the pawns of geopolitics.
Yeah.
And they are real people going through
Yeah.
these things, refugees
It's
that
such
are
a-
running for their lives
exactly.
right now.
It's such a true and honest record and a true and honest look at his life and the people around him and the people that he's lost as well. A lot of themes, obviously, of grief and death and losing people, not even losing their lives, but losing them to rival gangs or losing their people that he's grew up with, losing their humanity to like the streets, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is a big another big talking point of this album. I love the mix of the traditional folk and like the Sudanese sounds that he implements in here as well. Is very unique.
It's like it kind of meets in the middle to be uniquely Canadian in its own kind
Exactly,
of
yeah.
way.
And I saw that it's ending up on a lot of year-end lists. It was CBC's number one album of the year, number one Canadian album of the year.
Wow.
So there was like 15 albums that dropped.
Crazy.
It was on NPR. I think NPR was like number 5 of the year. Rolling Stone was, I think, in number 50 or in the 50s. It was on Vultures as well. Like, it's getting a lot of praise, and I'm so thankful for that and grateful.
Wait, he
for
was
people.
on Vultures?
Yeah, man.
Go back and listen.
Yeah. Is there much more to say that we haven't already? His vocals are great. Like, it's the soaring and memorable choruses between like tear-jerking verses that are almost more like poems or revelations, and he's like obviously clearly using the music to work through all of his
Yeah.
emotions that he's gone through in the past for his whole life for the most part.
I think it's definitely going to get better with time, and you'll kind of familiarize yourself with the stories and the people he's talking about.
Yeah.
With added, listening to it.
Yeah, because I'll say about the concert that I went to was at Roy Thompson Hall. I'd never been to that theater in Toronto. It's mainly for like orchestra shit.
Yeah.
So it was very unique. I was kind of off to the side, kind of a weird angle. I didn't get to see, like, the grand piano was kind of cut off from my view. But yeah, it looked kind of like just like a Middle Eastern prayer room with all the rugs around, and there was one guy playing the oud, the Sudanese oud.
Oh, wow.
There was and he brought up dancers for Name of God. He played Name of God 3 times,
Crazy.
which is great moment. He had everyone sing along to that one, and all the traditional dances were great. The opener was named Mahmoud. Very similar kind of stuff. Almost more rock-centric to an extent with some electric guitars. He did a crazy cover of My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Whoa.
Like a really interesting... I didn't even peep that it was a cover until he started singing the chorus. I'm like, wait a fucking minute, bro. This is wild. So I respect him for that. In between the songs, he was just spitting straight poetry and like explaining how he came to these conclusions of the next song he was about to talk about and kind of introducing these ideas and concepts. And there was so many things that I wish I remembered specifically about what he said. There's some stuff that definitely hit me. There was like, I was, tearing up at certain points, like leaving Toronto for sure. Gaza is Calling. He had some great stuff to say there, obviously. And there was a point before, I can't remember which song it was. It was a song off his previous record, When Smoke Rises, where he was like, I'm going to say this one time, and I'm not going to explain myself. I don't think it needs any explaining. The last time I performed a headline show in Toronto, my brother was alive in the audience with the person that ended up killing him. Like, was there with him. And then he played the song, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? It's just super...
You're like, I'm just going to ruin my makeup if you get me crying.
Yeah, I should have been a full face, of course. But just that's the kind of stuff that he talked about during the show, and just... he doesn't like performing live. He had an opportunity to open with a bigger artist back when his debut album dropped, but he didn't take it because he's just not comfortable with it. And just like it was funny, his folks weren't there because they don't really he didn't grow up with. He was talking about he didn't grow up with music, which I think was interesting. And his parents don't really. He was like, yeah, I sold at Roy Thompson Hall, and he was like, really, like that night, that day, and he was like, yeah, like, and they paid their money to see you sing. He's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then he was,
so
and then he said something in Arabic. His dad said something to him in Arabic, which pretty much means like "God help us all" type shit. And he was like, and then Mustafa said, this is like fresh off the election as well. Mustafa was like, he didn't say that when Trump got elected, but he said that when his son is performing at Roy Thompson Hall. I thought that was hilarious. He also had a funny moment where he was like, he was shouting at Regent Park a lot, where he grew up, and he was like, it's crazy how like we have a little Italy and a little Portugal, all these little colonizer fucking areas in Toronto. Let's have a little Sudan or something, you know. And he was like, maybe this could be our little Sudan here tonight in Roy Thompson Hall, which I thought was nice. But
that's cool.
It was just fantastic. Vocally, he was fucking there all night.
A bit part in this was played by Daniel Caesar as well.
And I was half expecting him to bring out Daniel Caesar for Leaving Toronto, because fucking, you know, Toronto,
yeah.
right? The song Toronto 2014 as well. But he didn't. He brought out on the song SNL. The guy in the background, kind of like talking shit. Puffy is this guy from the hood that he grew up with. He brought him out. So it was weird. It was some of his friends from the hood on stage with the religious dancers as well, which is also a really interesting dichotomy within his music, is the spirituality and the faith, and him losing the faith because of all these terrible things that have happened to him. So and the people around him. But yeah, it was just it was a fantastic show, and
go out and buy the album right now.
The album
buy now
fucking spoke to me, bro. So
you can get this album for only 3 easy payments of $39.96.
Yeah, what can you fucking say? Alright, so both of our number ones are spoiled, and they're not hip-hop. Sorry, guys. We failed you.
Cancel the episode. Turn it off.
So that was your number 7?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you got left? I'm curious. What are your numbers?
Well, my number 6 was Lupe Fiasco.
Okay. So
I got 5, 4, and 3.
5, 4, and 3.
Oh,
I also
2.
I have 5, 4, and 3 as well. So you go then, because I have 4 left.
Okay.
Oh no, I have 3, 5.
Continuing
4,
to move on
3,
through different geographical zones of music.
Yeah.
Holding it down for South Florida, Denzel Curry, King of the Mischievous South, Volume 2.
Interesting. This one didn't make it on my list.
Wow.
I'm a big Denzel fan, and I like this album quite a bit. It's definitely top 20. But it's just the sound of it, like this. Obviously, the style is very Southern and very Florida, and he's taking a lot of influences from fucking, you know, Project Pat and 3 6 Mafia, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Which I really respect, but it's not my preferred style of hip hop.
Wow. Yeah. I think the 3 6 Mafia beats, for example, on the main track Hot One, which
Great
was
song.
his lead single.
Yeah.
Fuck around and catch a hot one till your temple. I'm really liking these remixed 3 6 Mafia beats. There's also other influences from Houston, chopped and screwed kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Denzel really solidifies himself as sort of the king of the SoundCloud era, and a lot of the sound coming out of South Florida. He's kind of executive producing this one while also being the main rapper.
Yeah. It's a great compilation album of all these
absolutely
different artists.
star-studded.
Oh, it's a crazy feature list.
Let's read some of these names off. The Mexican OT had a really
That's a
cool
great
song.
song,
I
yeah.
like him.
Black Flag Freestyle.
Ski Mask, ASAP Ferg. Kenny Mason had a really good song I liked.
Yep. ASAP Rocky.
There was a song
2
with
Chainz.
Ty Dolla $ign and Juicy J that I thought
That one went off really well as well. That one's like probably one of his most like kind of like poppy radio friendly kind of styles of songs, but it went off really well.
Yeah, and you wouldn't expect that from Denzel, given his reputation as kind of an alternative figure with it.
Yeah.
With, you know, obviously on the Taboo thing, he's went all gothic for that one, and you know, he even says on this album, like, I'm not no emo rapper, I'm not no Herb, like, this is for everyone, like, to party in the streets, and like, it's. I thought he really kind of made a big tent, and kind of presented like all these rappers from his generation, that he's helping put on.
And he had Juicy J on here too, Project Pat.
And I think he's solidifying himself closer to a GOAT status, in that he's shining a spotlight on some of these up and coming rappers like
Yeah.
Kenny
Tia
Mason or
Corrine as well.
Tia
She had a
Corine
great
had
feature.
one of the verses of the year. Money, dick, and dollar signs.
Verse of the year might be a
He
bit of a
won't do the
stretch,
crime because I'm super fine.
but I liked it a lot. I like her voice. She has good style.
And yeah, the whole thing just had a very kind of punk rock ethos to it. And he's always had like,
Yeah.
he always said like the rock shows were more fun for him growing up.
Yeah.
And so he brought that to his live performances.
Yeah. I definitely respect it, and I like a lot of the songs on here. I can't lie, a lot of the interludes, there's a lot of interludes on, there's like 4 or 5 interludes on here that I'm just like, I just delete.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for me. I understand why he did it. It's more of the classic mixtapey type of vibe, and I'm sure the guy on it is a legend, but I'm ignorant, what can I say? And so that's like, take off 5 of the tracks right fucking there in terms of album listening experience, not as strong.
I think you definitely have to go into it knowing like what kind of this is kind of a party vibe mixtape. But I think he has a lot of fun with it. He brings a lot of...
It's a fun record.
He marshals his forces of what he's capable of doing as a rapper in terms of personnel, bringing new guys, veterans like Juicy J and Project Pat, bringing them to the forefront as well. He's kind of holding it down for the South Florida contingent, especially given that X died and Ski Mask's music isn't as good anymore.
No. His novelty is kind of...
But Denzel, he really kept it simple, like...
And he keeps doing different stuff on all of his albums, which I really respect as well.
And Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, like, I feel like that one didn't make it into my list because certain moments didn't work for me, but I might have to go back. Like, it's kind of making me reconsider Denzel Curry as a rapper.
That album, I think I had number like 5 or 6 that year. I think it's going to drop down a little bit. I still think it's a fantastic record. And him going kind of more conscious with it is great. I still think for that record, like, he just didn't dive deep enough into it to really merit some of the content, the content that was on the album. I still think, to me, unfortunately, Taboo is his best album. Just that punk fucking hard style is just so fucking good, man. But he's still, he's probably one of the goats of...
Yeah, I kind of missed out on him as a rager.
Yeah. But he's not going back to that. Oh, there it is.
Like, I think that just every time I listened to it, I was entertained.
And it's an entertaining, fun record. It just didn't move the needle for me in the way that it maybe did for you. But
it's not super deep or anything, but I had fun, so...
I have my...
Wait, you have like 3 left to go?
I have 5, 4, and 3.
Okay, so I have... Yeah, we both have 3 left, so...
Okay.
Whoever wants to go first.
I'll do it. Number 5, I believe it's going to be up there for you as well. Vince Staples' Dark Times.
Yeah, my number 3.
Yeah. Great. So good.
All right, moving on.
Very good. All right, number 4. It's one of his best start to finish projects to me. There really isn't a bad moment in here. Very short and sweet, easy to re-listen to it. Very focused. Some of his best verses maybe too, lyrically as well.
Yeah.
Talking a lot about obviously dark stuff, but lyrical content is great. And to me, it's like a comment. He's been kind of doing this kind of more subdued style since his self-titled record a few years ago, like 2021, I want to say 2020.
Yeah.
And to me, this is like a combination of the past few projects. There was that one. There was Ramona Park Broke My Heart, which I knew you weren't the biggest fan of. It had the Little Baby song is not great. There's a few other ones that are just kind of boring to me. But there's still some great stuff on there. But this is like a culmination of all the stuff he's been doing in the past few years.
I think this is probably the best writing from a rapper this year. I would say the song topics. He'll get on a topic and he'll get around and do the different angles on it. And there's something unique about his voice. Like, for example, on the song Government Cheese... Wait, no.
And don't forget to smile.
Yeah, on the song Government Cheese.
Don't forget to smile, yeah.
That Don't Forget to Smile part, there's a bit of irony to his voice where he's like, you can take it on the surface level,
right,
or you can look at it on the other, like that he's being... that it's kind of commentary, social commentary, where he's kind of gently mocking that this is what people always say.
Yeah. This shit sucks, the world sucks, don't forget to smile and take it. You know what I'm saying? So
it can be taken
And just,
in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Because of how there's a little bit of, there's like a very dry humor that goes on with Vince Staples' writing, where he's always seems a little bit tired, weary of life, and it's just the never-ending drama.
Yeah, he's sick of it. He's sick of this shit, man.
But I think it's a very serious topic of like that. Growing up not having much resources.
Yeah.
You never feel like you're safe or that you can like fully let your guard down and relax. And I think the song Justin kind of dealt with those feelings of his inability to like just let go. I think he has like a sort of antisocial streak that a part of it is just a way that you have to live your life. Yeah. And, a stranger danger is a good thing to have, but it also makes him feel kind of profoundly alone.
Yeah. He can't trust these bitches. I'm in bed by fucking 8. Like, don't call my phone. Like, go worry about your kids. Like, don't worry about me. Type shit. Like, yeah.
Like
I agree with that.
The constant search for peace, and that always seems to elude you,
which makes it for a great running theme between his most recent work. And it's still fascinating to me how he's able to. Like, he's talked about, his kind of the way he grew up in the streets of fucking Long Beach since the beginning of his career, but he's still making it interesting and making it sound different and coming at it from different angles and all these kind of things. That just it's really unique that he's able to kind of retread on the similar ground, but just do it in a completely different way as well.
Yeah, he's a very progressive rapper who still focuses on the street and gang life. Yeah. But he gives a critical lens to it. On a song like Black and Blue, you can kind of vibe to the slightly melancholy message that he has on it. But it's still kind of a bop. Like, and I really enjoy how we flipped the sample on that one. I actually heard, I was at the fucking pottery thing,
the Pottery Barn or whatever the fuck.
And I heard like the jazz version of the song that he
from Black and Blue
flipped around on
and you were like, "This is Black and Blue by Vince Staples," and everyone looked at you like, "What?"
Yeah, they kicked me out.
Yeah,
I had fucking putty all over my apron. Some of the best songs of the year. "Shame on the Devil" is a very overcast, emotional palette that he's working with, but
it's a cloudy song, cloudy album.
The vocals from Baby Rose that are very subtly kind of put in there, like chef's kiss, or like for production and just like subtle. The mastery of subtle moments,
experimental, but also like fitting in terms of the subject matter. And like we got to talk about how his chorus game has improved so much since like Big Fish Theory. Etouffee is a fucking great chorus. Black and Blue, fucking little Nothing Matters. Like there's some great kind of more sung melodic, not melodic I wouldn't say, because I don't think he ever really sings, but some great choruses nonetheless. Nothing Matters is a great song, fucking dark song, but it's great. Radio is a simple song, but it's so effective as well, just him talking about how he misses the radio, and all these, the way he got introduced to a bunch of different new music to him, and like how it impacted his life through, like in terms of what it was going through in his real life. And I do also miss the radio, so you know what?
He's kind of he's eulogizing a big part of the culture that is kind of going away and being replaced with the internet or whatever. There's, it kind of mirrors the way that a lot of industries, like the brick and mortar institutions, are being taken apart, and whatever people can use the internet now. But he has a sort of connection to that old school world of the music industry. Because when he came up was in like 2010, 2011, the internet was
before
still a
streaming,
new thing.
really.
But I think he's definitely sort of defining this generation to a degree. Another great West Coast,
for sure,
rapper.
He's building up. I mean, we talked about earlier in the year, and it was the divisive clip I posted on Twitter when there was a whole discussion of who's better, J. Cole or Vince Staples. And we were both just like, Vince Staples just has a better discography, and it's just a more like J. Cole might be. My argument was J. Cole might be a better like technical rapper, but Vince Staples just makes more interesting music.
Yeah, I agree.
By and by.
And this album, I think Free Man is a good like capstone for it. Celebrating him being off the Def Jam deal finally.
And this might be one of the best, like, it's the best, like, trying to get out of a fucking deal album that I've ever heard, probably. Like, this is, like, because there was an argument being, like, oh, yeah, like, I kind of just threw this shit together, or, like, I just kind of, like, not as, you didn't take it maybe as seriously as some of his other products, but, like, fuck, man, it's one of my favorites of his, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to
it's just
say.
Fucking good, man. Great, even.
But, yeah, he touches on a lot of the contemporary issues. Mm-hmm. Sort of crisis of masculinity. How do you actually express yourself?
Connections with people as well.
Yeah, in a healthy way. Like, trying to unlearn the things that he had to experience growing up.
Exactly.
But not in, like, a lame, like, therapy kind of way, like with the new Big Sean record, okay? More real. Yeah. More authentic.
Exactly.
All right. So my number 4, that was my number 3, Vince Staples. Okay. Larry June's Doing It For Me. This is probably the worst piece of music that I put up really high.
Why is that?
Because I just really liked it. I just really vibed with it.
That's my next album in the list as well. So.
I mean worst in the sense that, like, critically it wasn't a huge darling.
Right.
I just was really impressed with it, and it gave me a great vibe. Mm-hmm. Larry June's album with the Alchemist from last year was my number 2.
Yes, I remember that.
And I really dig the vibe of that one. But this one is a different kind of vibe. Half of it is kind of like old school West Coast, like simple beats, like YouTube beats.
Yeah.
That kind of that slam and simplistic kind of stuff, and also on the other half of it is more of the R&B. Kind of dreamlike soundscapes that we've heard from him as well.
Right.
So he kind of oscillates between those two different vibes, and it was just a real smooth listen for me. You could probably nitpick it if you wanted to, but I just had so much fun with it that I don't really see the need. Like, I read this angry Pitchfork review for it.
How can you get angry at Larry June's music, bro? He's such a chill guy. Like, don't take it so seriously.
Yeah. I think people just don't quite get it. It's like that clip of Larry David at the beach, and he's like, I don't understand why...
Yeah, why are we here?
I'm angry that I don't know what other people... I'm not getting what other people are getting, you know? Yeah, that kind of made it even better for me, knowing that this is pissing off some nerd.
Yeah.
Some of the highlights for me, Meet Me in Napa, Imported Couches, a song called Morning Calculations.
Yeah.
Very lifestyle raps, but for me the details set it apart. You know, he's talking about having his initial engraved in the tiles of the bathroom. You know, little luxury moments like that. You know, on one of the interludes, he's rapping about setting the timer for the olive trees, like so that the water will go in.
Talk about olive trees, man.
Rapping about going through his garden and sipping juice and stuff like that. I know people might not really get why I think that's cool, but it's just the detail of it all.
Yeah.
And
because he's like you could tell he's like serious about it and passionate about it, and like he doesn't care as well. There's probably an essence of that.
I just feel like people need to embrace a peaceful and fun-loving attitude sometimes.
Man. Yeah, for sure.
Not all music needs to be raging against the machine.
Yeah. Or
trying to change everything. He says something on the album like, "My life is like a mission on Vice City."
That's crazy.
And
that's a good bar.
It's that kind of old school fun. There's tracks called Real Talk and Where I'm Going, which I really like, that are kind of more of a Bay Area, like, play this in your car.
Yeah.
Another West Coast vibe that I liked. Stinson Beach was an R&B moment from him, where he kind of got into his singing bag a little bit more. It's kind of effortless, you know, he didn't take vocal lessons for it or anything.
Curious to hear him in more of a singer. Like, this is like some... Yeah. Okay, yeah, I respect it. That's cool.
Yeah, but this is probably the highest ranking up album that had sort of a mixtape feel that I would go for.
Okay.
Me and my buddy from work, Vince, he's really into Larry June as well, and we kind of bonded over this, and we really vibed with it in the truck.
Finding another Larry June fan in the wild is pretty special.
But that matches his vibe as well, because he's from California, and he loves R&B and old school G-funk vibes and stuff like that. The word screensaver music came up at some point, and I agree, and I think that's a good vibe to go for. You know,
there it is. Yeah,
might not be enough for some rap fans who are craving more commentary on life and the world, and I just want to have a good time. I'm 28 years old, so
yeah. You ain't got much time left, so you're just trying to have as good enough time as you can.
I said that like I was terminal. Like,
no. Take off that hat, man, or you got the chemo. I mean, yes, but not in the same way.
Chemo flows.
Yeah, chemo flow. That's a good. We should do that. Josh, write that down.
I'm not
Chemo
gonna do that.
Okay.
Yo, speaking of, no, this is a waste of time.
Yes.
But you remember that Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie where he has cancer?
50-50. Yes, we all remember it.
Okay. But then there was also that Christmas movie
The night before.
where he was also terminal in that movie or something, right?
I don't know.
Because they were like, this is going to be my last Christmas.
I don't have the answers for it. I think it was the last Christmas as, like, friends, because they were all getting married or some shit.
Oh, right.
I think I watched 20 minutes of that movie one time.
Not good. Jogo Lev really had a run there.
He had a moment. Looper's great. I think it's Looper you can probably still stand behind.
That was the peak.
Yeah.
It was peak Jogo Lev.
Speaking of a Looper, something that's pretty futuristic, and my number 4 album of the year. Very similar sentiments of like, okay, it's not a critically acclaimed album. There's definitely some problems with it, but I just love it either way. You can claim I'm biased all you fucking want. I don't care. Childish Gambino, Bando Stone in the New World.
Wow.
Number 4, man. Is it that much of a surprise as a Bino stan that I am?
It was enjoyable. I have to admit, Lithonia was one of my biggest listened to songs this year.
On. Undeniable. There's so many great moments on here to me. Yes, there are some songs on here that are super experimental and maybe miss the mark slightly, but it doesn't really. I don't really care. There's still so many highlights on here. I think to me it's a good farewell to the Childish Gambino moniker, just in terms of the amount of styles that he jumps into on this album. He does a little bit of everything. He does this like straight hip hop shit. He does like more R&B kind of beach kind of shit, like Kawhi vibes. He has some Ada Vista vibes in here. I guess he's missing a little bit of the Awaken My Love funk shit, but there's definitely some of his vocals on full display on here. And he gets into his electronic, more experimental bag, like Because the Internet was. So I think in terms of that, I think it's a good wrap up. I will say the biggest detriment to this album is that we don't have the movie yet. So I think it's missing some context there. And the little sound bits like are fine. Like they're not that annoying to me because they're not that long. They don't really take away much to it, but they also don't add to it because the lack of the movie is I think removing some important context to the album. That I'm not sure honestly we're ever going to get it at this point. He was on a world tour and he got sick. He had to get surgery for something, and now he's kind of taking it easy. So who knows when he'll be popping up again in our on our phones? But a lot of themes of like fatherhood, getting older, not being sure what to do as an artist, and talking about like it's okay to take swings and not everyone love it. Like kind of just you got to just do your own thing, which I think is like some of these themes are. Similar to maybe the ScHoolboy Q album of like fatherhood and growth and like you don't just do what you make music for you and what you want to hear. And this album was very much for his fans, he said as well. These are like just for like my hardcore day one fans that are like they just want to hear me fucking go all out and just be fucking creative with this shit. And I think in terms of that he succeeded. We get a lot of good insights into his life and career up to this point, how much he's matured, his relationship with his wife and family. There's a lot of talk about survival in this battle. I don't know if it's the survival of like there's an internal battle with himself, or maybe it's just like more obvious with the movie context. They're trying to survive from these fucking monsters or the apocalypse or whatever the fuck it actually is about. Yeet. It's trying to survive the Yeet feature. No, I like that song. I know you're not a big fan of Cruisin', but I think that's it's not my favorite song on here, but I think it works. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. There's a lack of cohesion here for sure. There's a lack of an overall fucking idea that I think is missing. But I still think as a body of work, I just have so much fun with it. And I listen to it front to back. I'm like, this is fucking great. I just love it.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun with it as well. A lot of the moments were more backgroundy for me. For example, Survive, Talk My Shit.
I like Survive quite a bit. Talk My Shit's not his greatest rapping performance.
In the Night with Georgia Smith. Like, a lot of these songs there's nothing wrong with them, but they were just...
In the Night isn't as impactful
kind of
as
okay.
I thought would be for me. It is kind of backgroundy. I'll agree with you there, but I think Step's Beach is such a great fucking track. Lithonia obviously is great. Real Love, I know you're a fan of that one as well. Yoshinoya, it's interesting to see him throw his hat in the ring in terms of this Drake beef. And kind of like, it's not a bad diss to me. Like, it's not... It maybe doesn't make sense for the context of this album, really, but I'm kind of glad he did it, and it was not bad. He took some shots.
I'm glad he was rapping on at least one of these tracks. You know?
Yeah. Well, he was rapping on Talk My Shit too, but just not to the best degree necessarily. I even like the song with his kid as well. I think it's cute and is creative. No Excuses. I like that one a lot as well.
I was listening to that song with his kid, Can You Feel Me?
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that, like, in the background, someone is, like, saying the alphabet.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't put that together for the longest time, and then I was just like, what? Like, I was just so baffled by a lot of the choices on this that I couldn't... It ended up just being okay for me, and I couldn't...
To me, it warrants re-listens of, like, there's so much going on here, and you can take that as a bad thing or a good thing, but to me, it's a good thing of, like, okay, I want to dive into it and figure out all these sounds. What am I hearing? What am I... Because even the experimental ones like Got to Be and Hearts Were Meant to Fly, those worked for me as well. Even the really experimental fucking almost Yeezus type of vibes. I really liked. Running Around with Fouché and Advocate are highlights as well. More of his kind of indie rock Steve Lacy kind of bag, which I think works really well.
That was my favorite bag that he got into.
I hope he goes into that a little more. And I think A Place Where Love Goes is a good outro. I'd say that my least favorite track on here is Happy Survival, just because it's a bit long. It's just instrumental. I like it, but that is like the backgroundy kind of music that you're talking about there. So
yeah.
I'm interested to see where he goes under the Donald Glover moniker, in terms of what kind of style of music is going to be released from now, because on the Tyler album, he was credited as Donald Glover, and I think there was some other publication that meant that, like Rolling Stone article or some shit that said Donald Glover as well, in terms of referencing what should have been Childish Gambino, so I think he's going to continue music, but in his own way, without the weight of his past career, and the songs on Camp, mainly, to weigh him down, if you will. So... Yeah,
I still see the Childish Gambino hate stuff pop up sometimes, and I think it's complete bullshit. I mean, you're allowed to not like him.
You can say he's pretentious. He is, but has he not earned it a little bit?
You're missing out on great art just to be just on some point about how he used to fetishize Asian women in his music.
That he was trying to be so black back in the day. And I'm like, well, he's black, guys. Sorry to break it to you. Like, I don't know.
It's not my decision on who's not or black or what.
The accusation of pretentious is so blown out of proportion to me. You know what I mean? People claim to have this thing of, like, it's so damning to be called pretentious. Yeah. When in reality, you need to kind of, like...
Maybe he just has good taste about what's good and what isn't.
And also, maybe you need to have, like, sort of be ambitious.
Yeah, you have to believe in yourself almost delusionally to make it. That's like a fucking big thing that a lot of people talk about. So
yeah, exactly.
That was I agree. Thank you, Josh. No problem.
Yeah, I would say elitism is generally a good thing, because we need to have some kind of general standards of what's considered good music, or else what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah,
burn down the whole studio.
People can go a little far with their elite opinions.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's important to keep a foot in either world.
Yeah.
Stuff that everyone likes, stuff that nobody likes. I've got opinions on all of it.
Yeah.
All right?
And they're all wrong. No. We were connected about some of our list here for sure, and I think this last one has got to be a connection, I'm assuming here.
This will be the last one on my
number
list,
3.
too.
Yeah, it's my number 3. Is your number...
Tyler.
3? What is it?
Mine's number 2.
Number 2, Tyler, the Creator, yeah. Chromacopia. We just talked about it on our 2 episodes ago. Go listen to that for a deep fucking dive of the tracks and all that kind of shit. But I'll let you talk for a bit.
I think it's the biggest spectacle of the year, and it totally kept me entertained.
Yeah.
The big energy, big production moments like Ra-Ta-Ta.
Yeah. I thought I was dead.
You don't really hear stuff that sounds like that too much anymore.
It's such a... unique. Like Tyler just makes Tyler albums and nothing sounds like it, which is part of my gripe of why people are like, oh, it's production's fucking to say he's not doing anything new production wise. I'm like, yeah, but no one else is making music like this. Like if you only get an album like sounds like this every 2 years, why are you tired of it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I think it does do some musical choices that I think are different. Like on the song Tomorrow is like almost like an emo guitar ballad, at least for the first bit of it, and then it kind of expands.
I thought he played around in the medium that he knows. And also expanded into new worlds, like on that song Tomorrow, and some of the more guitar-driven stuff, singer-songwriter moments, like Judge Judy.
Yep.
I thought those were new progressions for Tyler's sound.
Oh man, I was making myself mad yesterday seeing some people talk about Judge Judy and even Hey Jane and shit like that, and just people just not getting it, or just be like they're calling Tyler selfish or like hedonistic for not wanting to have children, the whole Hey Jane song, and I'm like, you guys are fucking lost, man. I don't know. There's no saving them.
Was that on Twitter?
Reddit.
Okay. Yeah,
but I'm sure it's over there as well.
I almost deleted my Twitter last night because I was so mad.
About Tyler? Or
just in general.
Yeah,
like how much it's become.
I mean, we got to get on Blue Sky. You gotta delete X and get on Blue Sky.
I don't want to be on nice people Twitter. Like Twitter
you gotta take over the market, bro.
Twitter is good because it's evil and it's full
It's true. Yeah, it's a fucking
filth.
minefield.
That's what's good about it.
Yeah,
so why don't change that aspect of Twitter? It's supposed to be mean and angry people.
It's true.
Lashing
Everybody's miserable over there.
Yeah, no, it's a cesspool.
But like no other social media apps, they don't have that edge that Twitter has.
That's true.
And unfortunately, but yeah, I wanted to talk about the backlash towards Tyler because people were saying the Tyler love is so forced.
Yeah.
Then people were saying the Tyler hate is so forced. It did feel like there was a bit of a delay after it came out, where people weren't sure what to even say about it.
Somehow his most divisive album, even though Igor exists. But I think Igor has become like a fan favorite over time. Like it was very divisive when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of people's favorite Tyler album at this point.
To me, this album is Igor-esque, but it's more of a real look at his life. He doesn't have to create a fake character.
You come out of this album with more of an idea of who Tyler actually is, which you can't really say about much of his albums other than maybe
like
Flower Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Wolf and some of his early adolescent stuff is very much a sign of the times of where he kind of was at in his life, but this is like his most mature, fucking introspective, take a look in the mirror album that he's come out with.
Mr. Okonma and the Big Steppers.
There you go, dude. There you fucking go.
I also think that half the backlash is just that Tyler, the creator, is a self-confident man who practices self-love and filters out bullshit, doesn't like people, like Annoyed and these other
it's not
tracks.
afraid to talk his shit either, like on fucking Call Me If You Get Lost, and just fucking flex and just be a bastard about it.
People just don't like someone that is self-assured sometimes. I think that's partly where it comes from.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's genuine haters out there that have a pure hatred of Tyler, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're haters. We hate all the time.
We're having so much more fun over on this side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Track like Sticky, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe some people don't get it, but it's
banger.
It's a lunch table like jamboree.
I know what you're saying. That might sound like fucking nonsense, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Like that was one of the best moments musically for me. Just somebody having way more fun with it than all of his haters and detractors.
What I appreciate about Tyler albums as well, he puts on people all the time, like a new up and coming artist. He put on fucking Young Boy on fucking on the last album. He put like a Newton. I mean, Lil Uzi Vert's not new, but Uzi was on the last one, and fucking 42 Doug, and like all these old, And this one he puts on Sexy Red and fucking I Am Doechii.
Doechii has a huge verse.
Exactly. Yeah, like he does that. He's been doing that for a while, which I respect. He had fucking Jaden Smith on Flower Boy, for God's sake, ahead of his time.
Oh man, I just heard a little.
My joints fucking cracking here, man.
That was not.
Holy shit.
That was body horror.
That's some Junji Ito shit.
What did you say? An ethnic slur?
Junji Ito? He's like a body horror.
Shout out all my Jinja Itos in there.
He gets say that anymore.
Can't say Jinja-itos, all right?
Yeah, that was a bit close.
You were saying?
I think it's big character development hours.
Especially with a track like Him.
You got to realize that he's still shedding off his personality from his 20s.
Yeah.
And that transition is sometimes, one could call it even a midlife crisis that he's going through.
Yeah.
It's interesting topic-wise, content-wise, to see him talk through these issues.
And it's interesting how he's like so confident in himself in one moment, but also the next moment he's so unsure about what he might want, like in the future at the same time. Like it's very real.
Yeah. And he brings up like these intractable issues such as monogamy and how do modern relationships, how are they supposed to work?
Yeah.
His desire for children, as we said on the other episode. Musically, some of the moment, like some of the horns and piano arrangement on "Take Your Mask Off" was one of my favorite moments.
Right. Yeah.
It just created the emotional background that you needed for a track like that.
Exactly.
The horns had this they're almost kind of funny horns. Like,
yeah.
And Tyler's very good at those specific musical references.
Because he's so involved with the process, like everything comes off as so much like Tyler. Like it's so unequivocally Tyler.
It kind of feels like one of those really expensive, like artisanal fucking like raw honey that you buy from the store or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like very like homemade quality to it. I feel like we should talk about like very specific moments, if you have any. I
mean, the Tilo touchdown, like harmonies in the background of "Darling I" are great.
Good one.
I love how in "Hey Jane" when it changes the perspective to the woman's point of view, like these really light and beautiful guitar, like electric guitar strings come in.
Nice.
Really like that part.
I liked this one part. I like the climax of Like Him.
Oh yeah.
With the big, it sounded like an old Tyler moment, but new again. Yeah. He breathed new life into something he's kind of tried before. I think. On Sticky specifically, when he's rapping, after all the other features, the horns playing in the background, bump, 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 and he's doing the "I got 1,500,000 in these trousers." That specific moment, my favorite part, because he's just having so much fun with it.
Yeah. I thought I was dead. The fucking when he was like, "I thought I was dead," and the horns fucking go, it's just fucking super like chaotic horns in the background.
I really like that song.
That was great.
I really like that song. I played it to my girlfriend one time.
Yeah.
I was like, this song is just so sick, and she was like, and I played her that and Luther back to back.
Yeah.
And she was like, interesting. Like, she doesn't really know that much about like the inner workings of music. I tried to teach her like what a chord was, and she was like, "Yeah, so it's a root, third, and fifth."
I mean, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about either.
You lost me.
Yeah,
exactly. I lost her too.
Yeah.
But she's like, the mixing on the Tyler one is interesting. And it's like, it's interesting you picked that up because of a lot of his detractors throughout the years have been like on his case about mixing. So and like it's like interesting mixing it. I have a hard time hearing Tyler and the music, and it's like that kind of checks out,
he's definitely he does it his own way, and I'm assuming he mixes it himself as well, so he has complete
I don't really
control.
Notice the mixing.
I don't really
it sounds like very professional, like,
and I haven't seen anyone really talk about the mixing really. I mean, maybe for Igor there was some discussion there.
I think maybe compared to other like contemporary, it's
that's what I mean.
Sounds a bit.
That's what I mean. It's like compared to like Luther.
Yeah,
it was like,
I think it's like I can't hear it anymore because I've heard too much Tyler the Creator to even, like.
Yeah.
Any more moments you want to shout out?
Just the storyline was sequenced very well.
I agree,
especially with Balloon at the end as this
just kind of light, more triumphant, like I don't know exactly everything that I want in the future, and that's okay type shit. Like he's kind of just accepting himself, which is nice. I like how it seems more. It's almost like an end of an era in terms of harkening back to some of the subject matter that was earlier in his career and coming at it in a different light, like on the songs Like Him, kind of the idea about not growing up without a father. and all those kind of things. Like it's very much to me an end of an era, and I will say his next album, if it sounds similar kind of sonic palette to this one, then maybe there's some concern about like, you know, where else can he go from here kind of idea. But I still think it's as refreshing as it's ever been in my mind.
I don't think it borders on self-parody a little bit, but I think he brings enough fresh ideas in.
I don't think he needs to completely fucking, you know, tear it down and start from scratch, but I think there's room for him to experiment a little bit, maybe in the future a little more. But
I remember seeing when this came out, all the excitement, and I remember seeing posts from like Northwest, Kanye's kid, like being really into it.
Yeah,
and
he's a big Tyler fan, I think.
It kind of got this epiphany that like there is something kind of Disney Channel about that, even though it deals with like tough topics. There is something campy about Tyler, the Creator's whole vibe.
Yeah, because
that I think a lot of people don't really get.
Because he plays characters and he like is such a whimsical, kind of weird guy that he kind of comes off as otherworldly or just as a completely separate. That's why it's like a part of me is like take Cole out of the big three, put Tyler up there at this point in my mind. But at the same time, he almost doesn't really fit in terms of the straight up, like the kind of hip hop,
traditional image of a top rapper. Yeah, it doesn't quite work. But like I've been watching Drag Race a lot these last couple of years, and it's interesting to see how they critique different people in this performance art that are sometimes more in the world of campy. Yeah. Sometimes they're a little bit more traditional, or they're like more into dancing and or singing, or they have different talents, but they're all kind of graded on the same rubric. So like Tyler's such an oddball, it's hard to put him in a list. Yeah. But I think when you appreciate the campiness and the spectacle of his albums, it puts it up higher than other the other rappers who, I'm sorry, are a bit boring. You know,
just
like,
don't do as interesting of things with their music than Tyler.
Like Future, I like him. I think he did some great songs, but he put out like 3 albums this year, and like you didn't need like
you didn't need
a lot of that. Albums. You didn't need a like. Did you hear that Plutowski one where he's just like, yeah.
I'm like, I listened to two Future albums this year, and they were both pretty long, and I don't need to hear a third one. I'm all right.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're pretty much done with our list.
That's it. Do we want to just say our top 10 again, just to get us as a recap? Yeah. All right. So I have number 10, Lupe Fiasco, Samurai. Number 9, Matt Champion's Mika's Laundry. Number 8, ScHoolboy Q, Blue Lips. Number 7, Sir, Heavy. Number 6, NxWorries, Why Load. Number 5, Vince Staples, Dark Times. Number 4, Childish Gambino, Bando Stone, and New World. Number 3, Tyler the Creator, Chromacopia. Number 2, Kendrick Lamar, GNX. Number 1, Mustafa, Doechii.
Okay, I had number 10, Gangrene, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Number 9, Kendrick Lamar, GNX. Number 8, Boldy James and Conductor Williams, Across the Tracks. Number 7, Mustafa's Doechii. Number 6, Lupe Fiasco, Samurai. Number 5, Denzel Curry, King of the Mischievous South, Volume 2.
That one's still surprising to me, but anyway.
Number 4, Larry June, Doing It For Me. Number 3, Vince Staples, Dark Times. Number 2, Tyler the Creator, Chromacopia. Number 1, Sir, Heavy.
Look at that.
Now, do we want to
Holy shit!
Do you want to rattle off this top?
Yeah,
top
we got like 5 minutes. Let's just do it.
All right.
We don't have to talk about it too much. I don't have mine's a very loose list, so.
All right, rapid fire.
Yeah.
Number 20, Young Gravy, My Day Ones.
What? What? Okay, now pause. Hold on. What?
Meme rap. Sometimes you got to flip a sample in a funny way. He flipped this Shania Twain song that's like a wedding song, love song, but he made it about like his homies. Yeah. I thought it was very funny.
Okay.
Young Gravy's album was a lot of fun.
Very good. Okay. I'll do a quick shout out to one of our songs that dropped this year, Peace by Fanny Paak. Go listen to it. Great song.
Meme rap is back.
Yeah, not a meme rap song, please. Serious times.
Number 19, Boldy and Conductor, Flying Trapeze Act. Already talked about it.
Okay. Also, mine's very loose. I just literally did this 5 minutes before we started recording. I'll put one of my favorite songs on the Gene Dawson album is Darlin', one of the intro track. Very orchestral stuff in there.
My number 18, Beautiful Big Titty Butt Naked Women Just Don't Follow the Sky, you know.
No.
Back to Me. from
Damn.
Vultures 1, featuring good verse from Freddie
Great
Gibbs.
Freddie Gibbs verse. I'll say that.
Just turned a bird bitch to my ex like I was Elon.
Okay, it's something.
Come on,
There's something
folks.
there. One of my favorite songs off of the Joba tape is American Fever. That one's a great single, one of the best singles of the year as well. Yeah, I love that one.
My number 13.
There you go.
My number 17 was Doechii's Boiled Peanuts.
I have Doechii on here somewhere along the way. Oh, she's only a few more songs. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll talk about her in a sec. I'll say he didn't drop this year, much to our dismay, but Ruby Rosary by Rocky with the Alchemist production and J. Cole feature, fucking great.
That was
I
that one's
liked it a
hard.
lot.
Like, it was easy to forget that one, but like,
Yeah, that one kind of came. I think it came and went for whatever reason, but
sort of a horror beat.
Yeah,
to it.
I really did. It was
good for Halloween.
Yeah.
JPEGMAFIA, either on or off the drugs. My number 16.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he got an AI filter to redo a Future song and make it like a 70s, and then he remixed that.
Oh my god.
So
He's doing too much.
using AI in a creative way.
Yeah, hey man. I'll take it. I will go with Do You Have a Soul by Fouché. One of my favorites off her record. It was in my honorable mentions for a moment, but it just kind of got pushed out by some of the other ones. But she had a great record this year. Go listen to that one.
Number 15, Lucky Days, That's You. I already talked about it. Amazing R&B.
I'll go Lucky Day. Hurricane was one of my standouts.
another
I did That's You on last year's list, so I thought I'd put Hurricane on this one.
Oh shit, it came out last year?
I did like November.
Alright. Scrap my whole list. My number 14 was Benny the Butcher's Trust More Valuable Than Love. Storytelling, rapping on
That was a good
multiple
song.
beats,
Yeah, that's a good song. I like that one.
telling stories of different people on different sides of society. Whole album was a bit much for me. It was kind
A
of
bit
boring.
hit or miss, but yeah.
But that was the best track.
I'm gonna go with Nissan Altima by Doechii. Probably her best like straight up rapping performance. One of the best of the year.
I have to go back and listen to that one
That was
again.
great. So good.
My number 13 was Joba. Number 12, Gangrene's You Should Join the Army. I don't know. They made a beat happen on that one. I don't know how. But it's driving and it's kind of gets you a little bit scared. Maybe I should join the fucking army.
Hey man, that's a scary thought to have too. So
It's a scary thought we're all fucking dealing with right now. Man.
Oh, man. I'm gonna go with Polynesian by Smino next. One of the best singles of the year. Is that up there for you?
No, I was just
Okay.
laughing about how we were making fun
Oh
of it
yes,
earlier.
we were. Yes, we were. And Smino's dropping an album in like a few days, so this whole list might be for nothing because Love for Rent is. I think I had it on my honorable mentions the year it came out, but it definitely snuck up there as well.
We're watching
I love
out for
album.
that one for sure.
Yeah.
My number 11 was ScHoolboy Q's Lost Times.
I have ScHoolboy Q Cooties as one of my favorite ones. Lost Times is great though. Is that one with the video with the cartoon characters, or was that a different one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a great video too.
That one made me appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
My next one, Hosier, Too Sweet.
Oh, okay. That's a good song. I remember listening to that one.
It's kind of a fun, like sort of a slightly old Western vibe to it.
Yeah.
We played it when we had this murder mystery party. The theme was the Old West.
Nice.
So it gives me good memories to that party.
I have Samurai by Lupe next.
Good choice.
One of the best songs in there. That was the one that I got into that song before I listened to the album because it was a great single. I love it. And then that got me wanting to listen to the whole thing, so I appreciate it for that aspect as well.
Number 9, you guys are gonna kill me. Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather.
I don't know if I've even heard the song.
Amazing
bro. I'll
love
be
song.
real.
I started seeing this song playing in the background of like videos about the JPEG and Freddie beef, and like casting it like they're in love with each other,
Yeah.
and it made me laugh so much. Real ones know. My baby.
It's a choice. It's a choice. I don't know.
Look, I'm not sexist.
and I won't let you defend it. Next for me is I will go. Oh man, there's so many good ones here. Let's go with "Take Your Mask Off" by Tyler the Creator. One of my favorites on the album. We just talked about it. Probably one of the more That one's like a thesis of the album to me. That's why I put it up there. There's maybe some better songs on there, but that one's like the thesis of everything that album has to say to me.
My Tyler pick was Sticky. That's my number 8.
Yeah. Okay. I don't even know what number I'm on, honestly, at this point. I'm just kind of going through them. Do you have any... Did you...
I got off a couple.
Okay, I'll go a few. Let's do No Evil by Sir. It was either that or Karma for the best song to me.
Yeah.
But No Evil, like that, just the vocal. It's just, he's fucking kills it, man.
Yeah, that was
So
my number
impressive.
4.
Yeah.
Favorite vocal performance.
I'll go with Walk On By NxWorries with Earl Sweatshirt.
That was my number 7, yeah.
There you go. I'm getting yours right here. Do you have Shame on the Devil by Vince Staples on yours as well?
Now, my Vince Staples pick was Black and Blue. That was my number 5.
There was a few that on the Vince Staples one that I could have done. Etouffee as well would have been up there.
Yeah.
Nothing Matters. Yeah. I'm also gonna do might be a sleeper pick here. Witchy by Kaytranada is one of my favorite songs of the year with Childish Gambino. Gambino on that like Kaytranada production, that fucking dance. I listened to that song like whenever I would play it, I would just play it like 4 times in a row. Just 'cause it's so fucking infectious.
I listened to that Kaytranada album. I was like, I guess I don't party enough. Like,
it's not that great of an album, honestly. It's really not. There's a song with Sir and Anderson .Paak that's pretty good. There's a song with Thundercat that's good. Raven Lene has a good song. Don Tolliver has a song that's not bad, but it's a slog. It's a bit of a slog.
Well, the amount of names you just said, that sounds like okay. It's an okay album, but it's
not,
really long.
It's long. It's very samey. So
I'll go with my number 6 was Childish Gambino's Lithonia.
That's my number 2 or 3 at this point. Yeah, I mean mine's just kind of a It's okay. Yeah, come on, fantastic song. Let's go with SNL by Mustafa. That one too. It probably would have been Name of God, but that was my number 1 song last year because that was a single that came out last year. And SNL is such a great song to me. Singing along to that all the time. Love it.
Live from Regent Park. It's Saturday night.
It's depression in an album.
But it's a lullaby. It
is.
My Mustafa pick was Iman. That was my number 2.
Yeah, I remember you loved that. That one's a great song as well. How many do you have left?
I got 2 left to mention.
I will say I have 1, 2. I have 2 as well.
Just rattle them off.
Both are Kendrick Lamar. Reincarnated is the best song on GNX to me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
My Kendrick pick, number 1 song of the year, Euphoria.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a good one.
Best diss track I've ever heard.
It just breaks him down to his DNA.
Multiple beats.
Yeah, beat switches.
Parts where we're just having fun with it. Parts where he's actually explaining what's wrong with Drake. He does everything for that. What is it, the braids?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of hilarious moments, you can't even...
I have number 1 is Not Like Us.
Yeah.
But it could be... It's the same thing to me. It could be and
I wanted to shout out
2 sides of the same coin.
Hot One again by Denzel, which
great song.
Really it's good. Okay, guys.
We're getting to Larry David hours here in terms of our mannerisms. So,
all right,
we should wrap it the fuck up. Rapcast 72. What a fucking episode, man! Good job, guys. That was a
We're trying to keep them shorter, but this one probably was a 2 hour.
2.5 hours, I would think. We'll cut it a little bit, but join us next time for our worst. That's gonna be a fun one. Worst albums of the year, worst songs, music videos, best music videos as well, album art, best and worst, trends. It'll be a good time. More of a looser episode.
More of a discussion on the year.
Yep. And what a year it's been. Thank you for joining us. If you got this far, I love you dearly.
And happy holidays.
Please. Drive safe.
Hey yo girl, why not let it slide? It's gonna be that type of night where I'm that steezy guy. So fly, get your heart beating like an anvil. Make your world stand still. We ain't gon' play.